Welcome, everybody. We'll call the May 12th City Council meeting to order. We're delighted to have you all with us. We're going to begin our meeting as we begin all of our meetings. That's by asking God's presence and grace. I'd like to invite to the podium Pastor Roderick Green from First African Baptist Church. Pastor Green, welcome, sir. If you would hit that button and I'll turn your microphone on. Thank you, Mr. Broadwater.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And thank you for this opportunity to provide invocation for this meeting. Again, I am Pastor Rod Green of the First African Baptist Church, 185 plus years of existence. And my wife and I are citizens. We're involved, and we thank you for what you do for our city. Let us pray. Our Lord, we greet you this morning with thanksgiving. We are grateful also for the citizens and the workers and our leaders in city government who daily get up to do something good for our city. We ask, Lord, that you provide them with guidance and wisdom and the energy to tackle the hard situations, but also be compassionate in the places and spaces that impact all citizens, regardless of their culture or background or life experience. So, Lord, in our prayer this morning, in the words of the St. Francis Pope, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in grace that we extend it to all as often as we can. In your great name, amen.
Amen. Pastor, thank you, and please thank your church for sharing you with us this morning. All right, next is Pledge of Allegiance, and we've got some special young folks here to lead it. The Lighthouse leaders from Reese Road Leadership Academy. If y'all would come up and stand right here, and we'll let you lead us in the pledge. And the rest of you, please rise if you don't mind. Give them, y'all stay, don't run off, don't run off. Y'all come back. I tell you, there's some terrific things going on over at Reese Road Academy, and these young people are a good example. If you would, give us your name and what grade you're in.
Hello, I'm Ariana Miller, and I'm a third grade leader.
Hello, I am Josiah, and I'm a third grade leader.
Hello, my name is Samaya, and I'm also a third grade leader.
Fantastic. Does any of y'all want to say anything about what's going on? Listen, Reese Road's got a lot going on. I've been fortunate enough. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a good way to start the meeting. Y'all can come over to the podium, and that way we can hear you better.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Cindy Bullock. I am the proud second grade lead at Reese Road Leadership Academy. These are three of our wonderful third grade students who are going to share with you this morning our progress in our STEAM project at Cooper Creek. We are very proud of each one of our students and their contributions to what has taken place at Carver Park, now known as Evelyn Turner Pugh Park, and at Cooper Creek Park. And we are in the process now of making some changes and finding out some things about Cooper Creek that we did not know before. So we are very proud of our children, and this is a K through 5 initiative, and this is a student-led initiative. So I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful scholars.
Good morning,
Did you
Mayor.
pull the microphone down?
Oh, sorry. Here, baby. Is that better?
Good morning, Mayor Henderson and members of the Columbus City Council. I'm Samaya, a third grade leader at Reese Road Leadership Academy. On behalf of Reese Road Leadership Academy, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today and for your continued support of our students and community. We are proud to share how our project-based learning initiative connects classroom learning to real-world experiences, especially through our work at Cooper Creek Park. In kindergarten, students explored the question, what do plants and animals need to survive in their ecosystems on our school campus and in local parks? Through observation and exploration, they learn about basic needs like water, sunlight, food, and shelter. In first grade, students build on their knowledge by asking, how does the weather affect plants and animals on our campus and in local parks? They observe changes in weather and how those changes impact living things over time. In second grade, students dive deeper via investigating. How do insects affect the beautification of the environment on our campus and in local parks? They learned that even the smallest creatures play a big role in pollination, plant health, and maintaining a balanced ecosystem. Together, these early experiences help our students develop curiosity, responsibility, and a love for the natural world.
Hello, my name is Josiah and I'm a third grade leader at Reese Road Leadership Academy. In third grade, students explore, how can recycling positively impact the environment of our school campus and local parks? They study waste reduction and create solutions to promote cleaner, healthier spaces. In fourth grade, students ask, how can we create and maintain a healthy ecosystem on our campus and in local parks? They examine how living and non-living things interact and develop plans to protect and sustain those environments. In fifth grade, students investigate, how do constructive and destructive processes impact our school, campus, and local parks? They learn about natural forces like erosion and weathering, as well as human impact, and consider how to protect and improve our surroundings. Through these projects, we are not just learning science, we're becoming problem solvers, leaders, and environmental stewards.
Hello, I am Ariana, and I am also a third grade leader at Reese Road Leadership Academy. We would like to express our sincere appreciation to Columbus City Council and to Columbus Parks and Rec for allowing us to use Cooper Creek Park as an extension of our classroom. Thank you for all our partners in education, the Edge Church, Reverend Bell, Christ Community Church, Good Neighbor, the Food Mill, State Farm, Sun Chevrolet, and Fab Arts. This opportunity has made learning more meaningful, engaging, and memorable for all of us. Because of your support, we can explore, investigate, and apply what we learn in real-world settings. It has helped us not only as grow as students, but as leaders who care about our community and environment. We would like to invite each of you to join us for a special event this evening, our 4th annual STEM Family Night in the Park, held at Cooper Creek Park from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. At this event, you'll see our projects in action and experience firsthand the impact of hands-on learning. Thank you again for investing in our education and our future. We hope to see you there.
Now, we have a few other folks from Reese Road that I think walked in, if they want to come to the podium to introduce themselves.
We have this morning our wonderful, proud principal, Miss Katrina Long. We have Miss Johnson, and we have Miss Duncan. And Miss Johnson and Miss Duncan, come on. And Miss Johnson and Miss Duncan helped to help the students prepare the presentation. So
Fantastic.
we want to thank you this morning. And again, we'd love to see you tonight at STEAM Night in the Cooper Creek Park at 5:30. Ms. Wall?
Yes.
I'm proud of you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mayor, City Council, guests and honorees here. I am proud to be here again this year with my Road Runners, and I am peacock proud, as you can see over on the side, clapping for my babies because this is the first time that I've seen their presentation, and I am excited. And right before we got in, I was talking with one of our parents who's on the side, Josiah's mom, and she was expressing her her pleasure of seeing him to grow, and he was one of our shyer road runners, and it takes a lot to get up and speak in public. Not only that, amongst adults in the morning, first thing, and they've done a phenomenal job. So this speaks to the work that not only our partnership do for, what we do for all of our students here in the city, but Holly with Parks and Rec, allowing us to come into the parks, making sure that they're prepared and ready for us when we're there. It truly takes a team effort. It truly takes a village, and that is one of the things that I commend our city for, because you all took the charge and you've stuck with it, and our students are better for it. If you notice, each year, it's a different group. So think about how many students that we're touching each year over year with these initiatives, and we want to grow it bigger, better. We want to make it stronger, and we want to impact more students and more youth in our community. And we don't do it alone. So you see the team. As you see, I didn't see it all. So it's Ms. Bullock, who's one of the leads of our STEAM initiative, Ms. Johnson, who's in our media center with our students working, Ms. Duncan, who's a parent in our classrooms working with our students every day. These are the boots on the ground people that's making it happen every day. So I commend you, and I thank you very much for all that you do. And Road Runners, you all have well represented Reese Road this morning, so thank you. Again, thank you for allowing us to come. You have received your invitation and your charge. We will be at Cooper Creek today, 5:30 to 7:30. Each of our grade levels will have hands-on project-based learning activities that they have put together that they will be leading. In addition, our partner, the Food Mill, who comes and help us with our garden, they will be there, so you will be able to get fresh produce, and we will have other partners in the park during that time. So our parents and our students get to come out, and they get to see what our Road Runners have been working on all year. So again, thank you so much for your support. We look forward to the continued partnership, and we can't wait to see where it goes next.
Well, we
Thank
can't wait.
you.
We can't wait to see where you go next. And I got to tell these young people, you make Columbus proud. You've done an outstanding job. One more round of applause for them. Thank y'all very much. Thank you. That's a pretty good way to start the day. First, we'll entertain approval of the minutes for the April 28th meeting. Motion to second. Are there any edits or any changes anyone would like to make? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Are there any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Got a couple of proclamations. The first one, Counselor Tucker is going to present to the unsung heroes of our community. Every time, I mean, we see them doing all kinds of stuff, but when times get kind of rough and we have storms and we have challenges in our community, public safety responds, but these are the folks that are boots on the ground to get out there and get the work done under some really tough conditions. So it's a great chance to tell y'all thank you. Counselor Tucker?
Yes, it's a great privilege and honor to be able to read this today. I've tried my best to stop crying so much because I know how much my Uncle Harold Lewis loved working beautification and loved working with his extended family in Public Works. And I'm thankful that the mayor asked me to read this today. So the proclamation reads, whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, as well as the public health, quality of life, and well-being of the citizens of Columbus, Georgia. And whereas the Public Works Department in Columbus, Georgia handles the following services: waste and recycling collection, rainwater management, waste disposal, city cemeteries, urban forestry and beautification, community service, fleet management, streets, paving and repairs, and driver training and safety coordination. And whereas these services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are employees at all levels of government that are responsible for improving the quality of life for citizens through best practices and professionalism. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and youth of Columbus, Georgia to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest in the importance of public works and the services provided for the best interests of the community. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now therefore, B.H. Skip Henderson III, Mayor of Columbus, Georgia, do hereby proclaim May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as Public Works Week.
If we could, I was about to call Director Short, if we get all the Public Works folks up here and kind of line up around here, let folks see who does the work.
Mr. Mayor, that's a lot of people.
Come on,
All right.
come on, they need to see who's
Public
here.
Works, come forward, please, all of you. In the back, come forward, all of you.
Grail, they can line up right around here if they want.
Line up.
People need to see who.
Quickly, please, and be quiet. Be silent, guys. We're only gonna be here for short.
Y'all come down here. Appreciate it. Let's see.
Hey.
Hey, we're gonna let folks see who does the work.
Mr. Mayor. Hello?
All right, now,
That's,
I'm just pointing out that those
that's a-
Reese Road students got up here quietly and orderly.
Good morning, Public Works. Good morning. All right, so Mr. Mayor, first of all, I know you probably can't see me and it's okay. First, I want to just thank you. Thank you for taking the time to acknowledge these public work professionals. These are the individuals who day in and day out come into work when you're at home, and I'm speaking to the community now. When you're at home and you're snug in your bed, these are the individuals who get up in the middle of the night during a storm or during a snowstorm or any kind of accident or anything that happens in our community that requires our skill set, we are there. Oftentimes, they don't see us as first responders, but we are first responders, whether some people think that way or not, but we've been identified through our Congress that we are in fact first responders, and we like to take that charge when we have to. Next week does mark the 66th year of recognizing public works professionals for the important work that they do. Again, day in and day out, weekends, holidays, it doesn't matter. If you need us, we're there. It takes a special kind of person to put their community first, to get up in the middle of the night, to leave their families, to go remove a tree out of the roadway, to fill a pothole, to clean an inlet to make sure neighborhoods don't flood. That's what we do. These individuals do this work tirelessly, without question, and just from a phone call. So I thank you. I thank you for acknowledging them because they do work hard every day. And now I'm going to take a shameless plug. Forgive me, council, but these are the people, when you're doing our budget, it affects them. When we don't get the equipment that we need to make our jobs easier, these are the faces. These people are the ones who are out there trying to do the work with substandard equipment. So when we come before you, and I'm not just speaking for me, I'm speaking for all of my counterparts as well, When we come before you asking for specific equipment, know that it is true and that we need it. And with that, I'm going to end my comment and say to my colleagues, my family here, it's a lot of us and it's a lot more that are still out there working right now. Thank you. Thank you for coming and supporting Public Works. Thank you for supporting your community. And thank you most of all for supporting me, my deputies, and my division managers. And that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilor. Councilor Chambers?
Yes, I just want to add to what Ms. Short just stated. I want to publicly thank each and every one of you for the hard work that you do. It does not go unnoticed, unrecognized. And as I look at y'all, you guys are the pulse of this city, the heartbeat of this city. So thank you personally for everything that you do. And just know, as your city council representative, I will be fighting for you to make sure that you have the resources that you need to be effective on your jobs. So thank you very much, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Hickey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to echo what Director Short said and my colleague, Councilman Chambers. Working for the city for over 30 years, I understand the importance of what you all do. Each time that I've reached out to Director Short and asked her to assist me with the littering on Fair Oaks Drive and North Oakley Drive, she's always answered the call, and you all have always answered the call. So I echo what Councilman Chambers said. You all are the pulse. You are our first responders. And I appreciate y'all, because I know if y'all don't show up to work, the city go down. So thank you all for what you do. God bless you. Just know that you have people up here that truly care about you. And as Councilman Chambers mentioned, we got to always make sure that we take care of you all. So thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Kogel?
This is going to date me a little bit. There used to be a computer game called SimCity. I don't know if any of you remember playing that game, but one of the first things that you had to do when you were building a city was make sure that you had adequate public works to service those residents that you put into that game. And I think that is very true here. And on my way to council this morning, I passed the trash truck picking up my trash. I passed potholes that were being fixed, and I've called Director Short and asked for pleads to rescue kittens and dogs, and that people couldn't, that other departments weren't able to step in. And Public Works has always been there. So thank you guys for all that you do. You're more than just picking up our trash and filling up those potholes. You really serve the citizens of Columbus, and I hope that they all, if they're watching this, they recognize that and give you a little honk and a little wave on the streets. So thank you all again for everything that you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilor Tucker?
Yes, I actually, even though I read the proclamation, I have to give my thanks as well. It's not one time, and I know some people come to my house and I go out and I try to give water or some whatever I got in my hand, but I absolutely appreciate you. I know I probably don't supposed to do that, but I do. But every time I call Director Short and now Mr. Is it Ralph? Because we haven't met you officially. But I can call you, I can text you, and you are Johnny on the spot. And I can sit here and give like straight shout outs. I can say Mr. Tim Cottons. If we have issues, I can say many names, just put it like that. This is honestly a truly good working team, and we have to give honor when honor is due, and I appreciate all of you, and I'm putting it out there. Every time we somebody ask a question on social media, I screenshot it and say, they're answering it. It's answered, it's done. It's done. So that's what we have to do. We got to be able to tell our story. And the more we tell our story and show those positive things that our employees are doing, the better it will be for the citizens to start changing their tone. But we have to tell our own story. If I call high school right there. But thank y'all, I appreciate you. I ain't even see there right there.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Counselor Crabb?
You all are like the software running in the background. The citizens don't think about you until something goes wrong. And you guys, then all of a sudden, you appear out of nowhere, like you've never been there before. But we know, because when we put in a work order or when we ask for something to be taken care of, it gets taken care of within 24 hours usually. Just on my street alone, when on East Lindsay, I've seen 2 or 3 crews out on East Lindsay in the last week, one fixing a pothole and another one taking a tree out from across the street. And I thank you all for everything that you do. And I want to make sure, like what Counselor Tucker said, that you're not the software running in the background, that we bring you forward and we do elevate you and we do show appreciation for what you do and the impact that it has on our daily lives here in Columbus. And so I thank you and appreciate you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Deputy City Manager Goodwin?
Mayor, Council, these are the hardest working men and women in the city. I mean, they're the quiet storm. These are the ones that you like has been mentioned, you don't see. You don't hear them, but when something happens, you see the results of what they have done. And they are out when we're in our beds sleeping, when we are protecting our families. They are out doing what they've got to do to make us feel safer. And so as Drell said, they're just like public safety, but in a different form. And so I want to just publicly thank each and every one of you for what you do each and every day. I know what you hear every day is what we don't do. We always hear the negative of, this isn't getting done or that isn't getting done and why this or why that. It's because of what? Resources that you have. You're living within the resources that you're given. And so I want to thank you for making it look easy with what you have to deal with and what you have to work with each and every day. And so my hat is off to each and every one of you for everything that you do, led by your leader, Drell, and of course, Michelle and Stefan and all of the men and women at the top. So thank you so much.
Well, Drell, we've got a proclamation for you. I don't know that I have 412 of them.
Just give it to the first person you see in
That's
front
what I'll
of you.
do, but I'll just add my thanks. And on behalf of the citizens that don't know your name, don't know your face, they just know stuff happens. They appreciate you too, even when they forget to tell you. So thank y'all for what you do. Drell, I'll pass this. I tell you, you're the keeper of the proclamation. How about that?
Give it to the first person in front of you, Mayor. They'll make sure I get
There
it.
you go. All right, thank y'all so much.
All right, Public Works, we're going back to work now.
You look great. Take care of you, man. Yeah, good to see you. Hey, they don't make it out to the front. They need to. Hope you didn't mind me bringing them all up. Hope you didn't mind me bringing them all up. We'll wait just a minute as they make their way out. All right, we have one more proclamation this morning, and it's Councilor Garrett. Turn your light on, sir, for Mental Health Month. So is the New Horizons folks here? Hey, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank y'all for coming today. Oh, they've got more people coming.
Ought to get you stand down there.
Mm-hmm.
Ought to get you down there. We're waiting for Chloe. No, that's fine.
Here she comes.
Here she comes.
Do we have everybody, or are we waiting?
We do.
Okay. Mayor, you may wait till everybody gets in the room. You may
Yeah,
wait.
let's give them so they don't get unintentionally disrupted.
The second wave.
Yeah, we'll give them just a second to get in. Councilor
Okay, I
Garrett.
think we've got everybody. It's my pleasure to read this proclamation into the record. Whereas Mental Health Awareness Month was first acknowledged in 1949 to celebrate recovery and raise awareness of mental health being essential to a person's overall health and well-being. And whereas bringing awareness to the importance of mental health reduces the stigma and discrimination that are sometimes associated with those who seek treatment. And whereas with the appropriate and effective mental health treatment, individuals are given the opportunity to manage their illness and lead more productive and fulfilling lives. And whereas New Horizons Behavioral Health provides various services and specialty programs that offer affordable, effective mental health rehabilitation care for adults and adolescents with mental illness and/or co-occurring disorders, successfully integrating them into our community. And whereas there continues to be a need for greater community awareness and education on mental health and encouragement to pursue careers in mental health in Muskogee County, and whereas New Horizons Behavioral Health is proud to participate in the collaboration with other healthcare professionals in our community to better serve individuals regarding every aspect of their well-being through integrated healthcare, because there is no health without mental health. Now therefore, B.H. Skip Henderson III, Mayor of Columbus, Georgia, does hereby proclaim May 2026 is Mental Health Awareness Month.
We're actually arguing over who gets to speak. That very rarely happens, I'm sure. I want to thank the City Council, Mayor Henderson, and everybody that supports the mental health of the City of Columbus. We have an incredible team that offers this help and gets the job done. The theme is More Better Days Together for the Mental Health Month, and it's trying to erase that stigma that mental health is a disease, it is a disorder, it is something that can be treated, and it is something that should be openly discussed amongst everybody, because there's going to be a time where we all need that little mental health push to get us through that next phase in our life. We appreciate all of you, and I'd like to introduce our team. Dr. LaKaren Rickman, one of our child psychologists and CCBHC director. And then we have Chloe Landreth, who does our marketing. Angel Luke, who does our counseling in one of our programs. And then Susan Gallagher, which I think you all probably know, is our Chief Financial Officer. And again, we thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council, for giving us a chance to stand before you and for shining a light on mental health. I think that mental well-being is something that touches all of our lives. I'm not sure that there's anyone in the room who could say they've never had a family member, a friend, a loved one who has not had some type of behavioral health difficulty. And we want to move away from that being stigmatized to that being part of life and getting better together. So thank you for taking the time out to pause and just shine a light on this. And we hope that as we grow as a community, that we can have more awareness, not just in May, 1 month out of the year, but 365 days out of the year. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just echo what they said, and thank you all for the support again this year.
Hi, you know I've never come across a microphone that I have not wanted to speak into. The national theme for Mental Health Awareness Month this year is See the Person, Support the Journey. We want you to see the person, not the disability or the illness that they're living with, and support them on their recovery journey. We encourage you throughout the community, not just our city council members, but to take some of the free community trainings that New Horizons offers, to bring some of these trainings to your church, civic organization, garden clubs. We offer QPR training, which is a suicide prevention training. We offer mental health first aid training. All of these we offer for free. You can visit our website at www.nhbh.org and find out about our trainings, or contact Chloe, who would be very glad to arrange a training for you. And you can find Chloe's contact information on our website too. But thank you. Thank you for supporting the mental health and wellness of everybody in our community. Thank you for allowing us to spotlight mental health awareness, not just for New Horizons, but for all those providers out there that work to help people build better lives. Thank you.
Councilor Hickey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to say thank you to everyone. A great team. I see all the work that you all do, and I often say that every city needs a New Horizon. Thank you, and to our CEO, Ms. Winston, to you, Susan, Ms. Wade, the whole team, thank y'all for what you do, and we really appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Tucker?
Yes, I also want to echo what Councilor Hickey said. Councilor Hickey kept calling me yesterday, and I was on a hold with VA for over an hour and 35 minutes. And throughout that time I was on hold, I kept hearing, do you know 20 veterans commit suicide on a daily basis? That was like over and over and over. I remember being on some of the Facebook Live that we was doing with Counselor Barnes and just learning more about mental health awareness. However, mental health awareness is really dear and near to me. One with my father, who was 100% disabled, total impairment, disabled veteran who had mental health challenges. And then after my kid's father, my ex-husband, had multiple tours in the Marines going back and forth from Iraq to Afghanistan, Iran. Came back home and it's, now I know what it was, but at that time I didn't, that he was suffering from PTSD, and it was severe. It was so severe to the point that I changed my whole career field. Instead of doing IT, I went and studied psychology for my bachelor's, and I was 9 semester hours away from getting my degree in information technology. Mental health awareness, I agree with you, it should be more than just the month of May. It should be 365 because it impacts a lot more people, and especially with us being a military friendly community, we need to know what our neighbors endure on a daily basis, what spouses and what children endure because it impacts the kids too. It's a family situation. So I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for your partnership. I'm thankful that you're doing the correct care with our fire department. This is so needed in our community. And when you hear those numbers about how many people we're diverting from going to the jail, it's astounding. And I would really tell anybody to go and listen to those presentations that Chief Sal Scarper and his team that they're doing in the community with DBHDD. I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, mental health awareness has certainly increased over the last number of years, and that's largely due to organizations like New Horizons. So thank you for the community service that you provide each and every day. If you would come around, let us shake your hand. Thank you, and we'll present the proclamations. See you, ma'am. Thank you for what you do. All right. We do have a presentation today by the Development Authority of Columbus, Choose Columbus. Missy Kendrick is President and CEO. Looks like Mr. Woodruff is coming too, and anybody else that wants to come up. Welcome, y'all. Missy, if you want to give those to Tamika, she'll pass those out for you. Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Missy Kendrick with Choose Columbus and the Development Authority of Columbus, Georgia. And as of today, I've been here for a year. So one of the first things that was presented or was talked about being done by the Development Authority after I came to work here was that the City Council had tasked the Development Authority with looking into the redevelopment of the South Commons area. And so we started looking into that. We have some members, part of that was that the city had set up a citizens advisory committee before I got here. So we have some members of that committee here. I'd like to recognize Christopher Woodruff with Woodruff Brokerage Companies. We have Dr. Bob Wright with a lot of stuff. And Richard Bishop, I don't know why he doesn't want to stand up here with us, but Richard Bishop is here with us as well. But there are several other members of the committee that we have worked with over the last year. So what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes and share with you what we have worked on and what we have done and what has brought us to this point. Initially, we just started working with the advisory committee to talk about the history of South Commons, kind of where we are with the Clingstones and the things that we wanted to retain. And the first thing that we realized was that we needed to do some due diligence on the site. The site is actually made up of about 17 different parcels. So we hired Barge Design Solutions to do some due diligence on the site and contracted with them to do some due diligence on the site. The cost of that is $171,000. So far, we have expended $166,800 on that due diligence contract. There's some additional due diligence that needs to be done. There is a 16-acre section in the southwest corner of the site that looks like there's some buried debris. And so there's a portion of it that needs to undergo a phase 2. There's some additional geotechnical testing that needs to be done on the site. So that's an additional $60,000 that needs to be done in due diligence on the site. We also, as a group, understood that what we needed to do to go along with a potential master plan was to have a market study done on the area so that we could determine, yes, we're trying to attract and build a mixed-use, sports-focused redevelopment there, but we needed to make sure that our community and economy could support that. So we did a bid, and we contracted with KB Advisory Group to do a market study. I actually expected the final draft of that to be done yesterday, but I don't have it yet. But they are, for the most part, done with it. There are a few things that is part of the market study that they are going to wait and work with the master planner on. One of them is displacement strategies. So what we tasked them with on the market study and with our search for a master planning firm was that we did not want our current citizens in and around that redevelopment to be displaced by this development. So that is part of our everything and every initiative that we have moving forward. So those displacement strategies, they are not done with yet. But again, the bulk of the market study has been done. The market study is $34,000. We have paid them $20,750 to date, but we've committed for the $34,000, obviously. So with the due diligence on the site and the market study, we have committed at this point $265,750. What the city initially set aside was $250,000. So right now we are about $15,750 on the need side. So once we got the market study done, we had somebody working on due diligence, we started looking for a master planning firm. So we put together a request for qualifications, we put it out to bid, and we received 10 fantastic proposals from local, regional, and even national firms that were interested in coming and working with us on doing the master planning on the site. So what we did is we put together an evaluation committee, not the same group of folks that was on the Citizens Advisory Panel, but a different group to evaluate the proposals. They then scored all of the proposals, and based on those scores, we narrowed it down to the top 3 firms. We then interviewed those top 3 firms. We narrowed it down to 2, and we asked the top 2 firms to give us a quote on what it was going to cost for them to do the master planning study for the site. And interestingly enough, the firm that got the highest number of points also gave us the lowest quote. So we, as the Citizens Advisory Committee, would like to recommend to the city that we hire the Nelson firm to do the master planning on the South Commons redevelopment. Nelson comes highly experienced, highly qualified. They actually did the master planning for the Battery around the Braves Stadium. And so I would love for us to have the AA Battery here in Columbus. And so we are making a recommendation based on the results and the approval of the Citizens Advisory Committee that we hire the Nelson firm to do the master planning. The cost of the master planning is $199,600. So $199,000 plus the $15,750 that we're kind of quote unquote in the hole is a total need of $215,350. So what we're here to do today is ask for the city to set aside the funding of $250,000 to cover some incidental expenses. There will be some reimbursable expenses from the master planning firm and probably due diligence. $250,000 to cover the next step, which will get us a master plan, and that we will then use to take out to developers and sell our community. But before I ask you to vote on that, I would like to also tell you that we are seeking, the Development Authority is seeking a $250,000 planning grant to cover this cost. We have spoken with EDA. They do not have deadlines for the planning grants. So our goal is to have our grant application submitted by the end of this week, if not this week, next week. And we'll find out in the next short term whether or not that planning grant will be approved. So I'm asking you to set aside the money, but I'm also going after another source of funds for the money. So there's a potential that you may not have to spend it. But if that grant is not approved, then we would be coming and asking you to fund the master plan and the shortfall that was originally allocated to the Development Authority. So that's my request. Any questions?
Thank you, Missy. Listen, I think you guys are moving exceptionally well on this, and I think it's imperative to try to keep the momentum. Deputy City Manager Hodge or Ms. Alexander, where would that money come if we set that aside? Because council's going to want to know what the source of those funds are. Hopefully it'll be from the grant.
So this could come from the economic development funds that is maintained by the city.
Okay. Councilor Anchor?
Missy, if we approve this and proceed forward, which I feel like we probably will, we need to look at economy and invest some skin in the game. What would be the next time zone that we would hear of a total vision and actually see a grid with some financials behind it on how it helps us all?
And the return on investment and the fiscal impact analysis is part of the master plan. But I believe the time frame for the complete master plan is about 6 months. But you're going to see them more often than that because, again, another component of the master planning is public involvement and public participation. So that was one thing. Another thing that we wanted to make sure was included in the plan is that we have as much public participation as possible. So you'll see them before then, but 6 months probably before the final version is released.
Okay, thank you.
We could, and we entertain a motion to set that money aside out of the, all right. Councilor Kogel has made a motion that funding be set aside and earmarked out of the Development Authority. Okay, and the second by Councilor Garrett. Any discussion, questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Councilor Tucker. Hang on. Oh, why ain't it coming on? There we go.
For the sake of collecting the information, I was trying to get a figure in the Economic Development Fund. What was the total amount that we have right now in the economic development?
Ms. Alexander, do you have that number? I know it should be accumulating a little bit more rapidly because we have completed an agreement with paying off some funds that were identified for a couple of programs.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So currently in the Economic Development Fund, there is about 1.9 million currently in the fund. But keep in mind, we do disperse funding to the Development Authority. So I'm not sure if we've dispersed April's tax disbursement to them at this particular time, but it's 1.9 that's in the fund currently. We also have continuing obligations for CHIPS through the remainder of the fiscal year of about 18,000. We also have an additional obligation through the end of FY26 for Columbus 2025 of about 360,000.
360 for Columbus 2025?
Yes, ma'am. That's what's left in their allocation. 360.
360 for Columbus 2025.
Mhm.
Are we gonna get an update from CHIPS, in reference to, I can't remember exactly what the amount that we did on the total investment and what was the outcome?
So
We can reach out.
Did we get one? And I wasn't aware?
I haven't had an update from them in a while.
Okay. All right, so, out of the 1.9 million, you have those obligations, and you said the Development Authority. And it's
monthly. We
monthly.
disperse to them monthly.
And
I'm not
what's
sure yet. I can check on if we've
How much it
dispersed,
is.
how much we need, if we've dispersed the current allocation
What's the
for
normal
April.
allocation? What's the normal allocation that we disperse in?
It just varies.
Is it like 400, 200, 300?
It varies based on what we receive in collections from the tax commissioner's office. I would say around this time, though, it's probably very minimal because usually their largest allocation is usually right after we get the 60%. So usually around January, February timeframe is when they receive the largest portion of the allocation.
The obligation is 18,000 right now for CHIPS, and I can't remember what the total allocation was, what we had
So for
originally.
CHIPS, the total obligation for them was 1.25 million. And the remaining portion, like I said, right now is just over 18,000. And the total obligation for Columbus 2025 was 2.5 million. And the remaining obligation is just over 360,000.
And then it'll be good just to have exactly what that disbursement is, what we disperse on a normal basis for the Development Authority. You were saying based on, I know we give the largest trunket of funds after.
Yeah,
property
I'll give you an estimate, if you give me just a moment, of what we usually disperse to them around this time through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Counselor Davis?
I think over the last 2 years, just tell me if I'm right or wrong, over the last 2 years with the new revenue that's been generated within our city, that fund has increased from roughly 2.5 to almost 2.8 now, another $250,000, $300,000, is that right?
Right, the budget for FY '27 is about 2.8, close to 2.9.
So it's increased.
It has.
With the increase in new revenue, the millage has increased, so there's more money, more revenue being generated.
Well, the millage has not increased.
Well, the millage hadn't, but new
Yes.
revenue, it just goes up. So,
That's correct.
yeah,
The tax digest has.
yeah, it reflects it, so. And then that's split in the middle, 50/50, right?
That's correct.
The city side, which we use, we call it the, AKA the Jobs Fund, but, and then the Development Authority gets the other half. So they would get an additional 125,000 a year too.
Well, yes, their portion has increased. As the city's portion has increased, their portion has increased. And, I mean, you're correct. Back in FY '23, the budget for economic development was about 2.4 million. So it was just about 1.2 million that was budgeted and dispersed to the Development Authority. And for FY '27, it's about close to 1.4, just under 1.4 million that we're budgeting.
I guess I say that to say this, it really, it makes sense to me that we would partner in this initiative that we just approved.
I mean, the purpose.
That's my statement, you don't have to answer.
Okay.
So anyway, I mean, that's really my point there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Tucker?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I clarified, because I did ask for chips when we talking about Development Authority and what, Choose Columbus doing. The Chips for Chips was a project that was with United Way, right?
That's correct.
Okay, not Development Authority or.
Well, no, now, for the economic development millage to be utilized, all of it has to flow through.
It flows through, but
The
it was.
Development Authority, yes.
But it was a United Way project, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because Choose, as Ms. Kendrick just said, it's been a year since we started Choose Columbus, so the Chips for Chips was not Choose Columbus, it was something different than Choose Columbus, right?
Well, Choose Columbus, I guess, is just the new naming convention for the Development Authority.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that I'm saying, you know, I'm gonna say apples and oranges. It's not what Chips for Chips was doing was not absolutely the Development Authority. It was under the United Way arm, but passed through Development Authority.
Right, it was an initiative.
Well, it was a
Spearheaded
separate,
by
it was a
United
separate
Way.
initiative, I think. It was because Ben Moser started off with the grant request. They had their meetings there, but I don't know that it was a United Way program. It was really a collaborative from people across the community.
I just want to make sure, because I don't want Miss Kendrick to pop me on my hand
I
for
understand.
messing up.
I understand. All right,
Okay.
thank you, ma'am. I think that's all the questions. We'll move to city attorney's agenda. Mr. Faggs?
Thank you, Mayor. Do have a lengthy agenda today to get through. First item up is a vote on the zoning at 6821 Mobley Road.
There's a motion to approve items 1 and 2, both second readings. Any questions or any issues with either one of them? All right, if you put it on the screen, now keep in mind, you're only going to be able to vote for one, but it will indicate you're voting for both of those items. Please enter your votes. All right, that's
Yeah.
a verbal yes from Kogel and Counselor Tucker? Okay, and it's approved. Both 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yeah,
for
if you would
pass.
explain what those are, though, just so
Okay.
the public knows.
The zoning at 6821 Mobley Road is going from single-family 1 to single-family 2, and then item 2 was chapter 2, housekeeping dates and procedures for the Columbus Council. Those have both passed. All right, item 3, this is a public hearing zoning at 3890 Veterans Parkway, going from neighborhood commercial to general commercial. Recommended approval. Is Tomcat Holdings here, the applicant? All right. Let's stand by just a minute and see if anybody has a question around the table. Okay, anybody in the audience want to be heard on 3890 Veterans Parkway? Okay, we'll bring that back for a vote at the next regular meeting. Appreciate y'all being here. The next zoning item is 5385 Veterans Parkway, going from neighborhood commercial to general commercial. Highland Asset, it's recommended for approval. Is the applicant here? All right, thank y'all. Any questions around the table? Anybody in the audience want to be heard? Don't see any hands, Mayor. We will bring that back at the next regular meeting for a vote. Thank y'all. Then we've got a UDO text amendment, various sections. Mr. Johnson, you want to run through these real quickly, dealing with retail sales definition, some other standards?
Yeah, got a lot of cleanup here.
What was the last one, was the first reading of the UDL number 5?
This is item 5, the UDO text amendment, right, different sections.
All right, the first one we've got is changing the definition of personal services to include microblading, permanent and semi-permanent makeup, and other cosmetic pigmentations as a primary use, instead of it having to be an accessory use with salons and things of that nature. Second one is changing the definition of retail sales general to remove liquor and package stores because they have their own category. Number 3 is changing the front yard setbacks in our established areas of town like East Highlands, East Winton, a lot of the historic districts. Your setbacks on the front are anywhere from 10 to 15 feet. When, let's say, Habitat wants to come in into East Highlands and build a new house, they don't want to pay the money to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, so they set the house back based on the zoning. But when you look down the street at that point, all the houses are 10 feet off, and then this one's 25 feet off. So it messes up the street view. We're trying to make this easier especially for CHODOs and affordable housing operations, where they don't have that extra layer of government they have to go through and pay that extra fee. The fourth one is changing part of the Second Avenue overlay to allow well, they already allow shingle signs, but this is putting at what the minimum height they can be so somebody doesn't knock themselves out going down the sidewalk. Number 5 deals with storage of vehicles and whatnot in auto repair shops. Making sure that the repair work is done inside, not outside. Number 6 is dealing with the Board of Zoning Appeals and the tabling of cases. Right now, if a case ends in a tie, that case is automatically denied. And what we would want to do is allow the BZA to have the ability to table that case so that it's not automatically denied on a tie. The only times there'd probably be a tie is if there's one or two people missing off the board. And then the last one is making several uses to temporary uses, making several changes to temporary uses. We have dates established for when you can get your Christmas tree and all that good stuff. Well, millennials and Gen Z have come along and they want their Christmas tree. They'd leave it up all year if they could. But they want it as soon as Halloween's over. So we've gotten rid of those dates. Ryan's gone through, a lot of these give him a headache too because folks come in seasonally. We've done away with the Christmas tree requirements, the pumpkin sale requirements, the fireworks sale requirements, as far as the dates that they can get them. And we added language here about the recurring farmers market, because we have the one out in Midland and of course the one in Uptown. And just made several changes to that overall temporary uses. Now I'll take any questions if y'all got any.
Yes, Mr. Anchor.
Thank you, Will. I was trying to play through my mind the practical application for number 6 under process for granting appeals. And could you help explain that to me maybe and how that came about, why? And, I could go in to ask, I was just trying to figure out when somebody makes appeal and there's a tie multiple times, it automatically defaults.
Under this one, it would be tabled one time. And if it happens again, then it would be denied. The biggest issue with it is you've got a time constraint in there. Was it 1 year before you can come back? If it's denied, it's 1 year before you can come back and seek the appeal again.
Is there a practical application of why that came about that way that would help me understand the reason for this change?
It's just something we found in the ordinance, unless you know of something offhand, but something we found in the ordinance that, for instance, the Planning Commission has the ability to table. So just the wait time, time is money.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing these forward. I'm going to ask some more questions this week, just see if I can understand it.
Well, and Ryan's here to answer. Board of Zoning Appeals falls under codes and inspections.
Councilor Anker, the intent, as the ordinance is currently written, the Board of Zoning Appeals, which is an administrative board appointed by council that has the authority to grant variances to the zoning ordinance for setbacks, building heights, those types of issues. They also review any administrative decision that staff makes. So if I make an interpretation of the ordinance or building code and a citizen or contractor disagrees with that, they have the ability to appeal that to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The way the ordinance is written right now, by having a tie vote or by failing to make a motion or act on an appeal or a case, the board could indefinitely table an issue. The ordinance just says you just keep bringing it back month after month after month. And as Will is saying, these developers, they just need an answer so they know which way they needed to go. So the revision, the board has the ability to table it once. Maybe they need to consider it for another month. We meet once a month, but they can't table it indefinitely. So they can table it once. It would come back at the next meeting. If there was another tie vote or no action, it would just default to being
Are
denied.
developers asking for this?
Yeah, there's been some input. We've had a couple cases where there wasn't any decision really being made by the board. It was just kind of sitting there. And so again, this was just an attempt to clarify the process that the board, still gives them 2 meetings to consider an issue, which should be plenty of time. And again, if it's a tie or they don't make a motion, then it would just be denied.
All right, well, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate our people serving on the Board of the Appeals. It is a hard thing, and I think they got to make a vote for it. Thank you.
Any other questions around the table? We'll bring that back the next meeting then for a vote.
Okay.
The demolition ordinance is now up. There are 10 different properties listed. Let Mr. Pruitt go through these. And if anybody is present in the chambers on any of these properties, please raise your hand or speak up. Okay. Not yet. Wait till we get,
There we go. Good morning. We have 10 properties. We're trying to utilize the rest of our current fiscal year budget on these. So the total is $145,941.
this is 3219 Casita Road, Edward Francis, owner. Anybody here on that? All right, come on up, sir. Give them your name and address, please, sir, and tell them what you plan to do with the property or what you're requesting.
Yes, Council, my name is Edward Francis. I live at 394 Clover Lane. I'm the owner of this property. I've had some hardship in the past year or so. My mother house burnt down in South Carolina, and I was like $2,000 or $3,000 taxes behind on this property, and I've got it paid up now. And I would just like a extension, and I would plan on demolition it myself. I can't, the company that they got with about demolition said they wanted like $11,000 to do it. And I would like to have a chance to try to do it myself if it's possible.
All right, Counselor Huff?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Get with the director beside you there, and he will walk you through the process. You'll have 2 weeks from today to our next meeting for him to come up with something to say that you have what you need to get all the work done. And that'll give you the time. Okay, thank you.
All right, that property will stay on the list. What's next? 945 Henry Avenue, Willie Collier, owner. Anybody present? All right. 1103 Henry Avenue, Connell, Minnie L. Connell Holloman. Anybody here on that? At 4026 Oates Avenue, Blue Fox, Go Bill, LLC. Don't see any hands. 917 38th Street, Winston Marchand. Okay. 4010 6th Avenue, In-Stream Properties. 1112 Bolton Avenue, Claudia and Harvey Joseph. Don't see anyone. 2623 Clover Lane, Darrell G. Hicks. All right. 2119 Munson Drive, Wendy Margarita Martinez. 1118 Thayer Avenue, Nikotu Success. Okay. We'll bring those back then in 2 weeks for a vote on the entire package. Thank you, Mr. Pruitt. Mayor, next item we've got is the blight tax that we looked at probably a year or so ago. This is being used in different communities across the state. It does increase the regular millage by a factor of 7 if all these standards are met for finding of blight by the building inspector. But it's up for discussion around the table. Any questions?
Can you put your light on? Councilor Crabb.
Can you explain this further? Like, how does it work? Maybe Walker?
We're gonna need Ryan Pruitt, or can you?
Oh, yeah.
answer?
Counselor Garrett, you want to?
Ryan can explain the actual mechanisms, but basically what it affects are properties that continuously fail to maintain standards. It's nothing, you can't just use this for aesthetics. So it's either constant code violations. This also addresses repeated crime. There is an exclusion in here for properties that are occupied as a main dwelling, so it's not going to tax somebody out of their private home. This is mainly to address slumlords and people who buy properties, just don't do anything with them whatsoever, let their tenants sit in squalor, and they don't do anything about it. And it will raise the taxes exponentially until they either remediate the situation or it forces them to do a tax sale. But it's going to address, two things, the actual blight itself and then repeated and continuous crimes, because we do have several properties, particularly in my district, where slumlords rent them out all the time, repeated crimes. There's nothing we can do about it, and they continue to rent to people who should not be in their properties.
Would the Rankin fall within this? I mean, we keep on it wouldn't fall within this, would it? But some of the things you're describing, we keep on getting problems with that building. And we've remodeled that the building has been remodeled, but the new landlords aren't taking care of it properly? Or is that an example?
Which building are you talking about?
I think she means Ralston.
Ralston,
The Ralston,
okay.
I'm sorry, I said Rankin. The Ralston.
I believe the Ralston would potentially qualify. I mean, if they continue to have those air conditioning violations and elevator violations and code and safety violations. Ryan, could you speak more to that, Director Pruitt?
So that helps, that helps put a face to what we're trying to deal with here. So, okay, I get it now.
So, inspections and codes under this ordinance would be tasked with identifying, proving that a property meets the standards as outlined in the ordinance. So, the ordinance defines for the blight tax purposes, a blighted property is uninhabitable, unsafe, or abandoned, inadequate provisions for ventilation, light, air, sanitation, an imminent harm to life or other property, and a few other, repeated illegal activity on the individual property. The maintenance of properties below state, county, or municipal codes for at least 1 year after written notice to the owner. So all those criteria, that'd be something that we would be looking at, whether or not to determine, if a property meets the definition of blighted per this ordinance. And of course, if I were to determine that it is, the property owner has the ability to go to court and argue that it shouldn't meet that. We do have properties in town, several large commercial properties, that certainly, in my opinion, would meet this definition. A couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, we tore down a couple properties on Broadway that became a life safety issue. Had this ordinance been in place before we did that, perhaps we could have used that to encourage the owner to, move on from the property or get it in the hands of somebody that was willing to redevelop. So it's another tool that the city can use to try to improve blight or reduce blight and get some of these larger commercial structures taken care of. Of course, we have a limited demolition budget. We can take care of a lot of houses with the money we get, but trying to remove a nuisance that's a blighted commercial structure, is just something that typically our budget can't allow. So the goal of this would be able to increase the millage, which of course could increase revenue for code enforcement activities as well, but hopefully encourage property owners to move on from the property.
Okay, Counselor Davis.
Director Pruitt, would it be okay to say in simple, continuous violations and total neglect?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sum it all up, would it be accurate to say it's continuous violations and total neglect?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Crabb.
One more question. I know tax law, it has to be consistent. So does this violate any tax law by making it inconsistent?
Well, anybody that's found to be blighted can appeal their assessment in the regular course of appeals when they go out in the spring, but they'll also have an avenue in Recorder's Court to argue their case once they have a 30-day notice from Mr. Pruitt. So they'll have really two avenues. The blight itself can be argued allegedly improper in Recorder's Court, and then they'll also have the avenue on the assessment, which is through the assessors and their appeal procedures.
Right, but I guess the question I'm asking is, if they were to take it to court, could we lose because of a tax law that we are charging a different millage for this property versus this property?
No, not if there's a public safety reason for the increased assessment. You know,
Okay,
as long as there's a
if we're going to
rational,
court, I want us to win.
yeah, you got a rational basis for the increased assessment, and the court's gonna uphold that unless they find something totally unreasonable. And
Okay.
there's no appellate case law on it in Georgia yet that we know of.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Chambers?
Yes, quick question. So the owner of this blighted property, once they go in and, they receive the tax increase and they go and bring the property back up to standards, does that tax increase, that percentage, does it drop off?
Can you say that one more time?
So if there's a tax increase for blighted property and the owner decides to bring the property up to par, will that tax percentage, will that increase, will it drop off?
It should. If not, they've got a right to petition Superior Court to get it removed. So, but the assessor should take action to drop it off.
And there is a section, 8-96 in the proposed ordinance that talks about a decrease in the tax rate, if the property is brought back to a standard, that it would no longer be blighted. And there's a process that the property owner would go through to get that reduced rate.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I know there are other communities that are using the blight tax very well. It's, matter of fact, Macon, I think, is giving tax breaks to senior citizens because of the funding that it brings in. And it's just a tremendous deterrent. And it's not for the mom and pop owners. It's for the larger companies that have several houses or that have commercial properties that are really tearing down the whole neighborhood. Those are the ones that it gets their attention because they don't want to lose the property. So, and I know our tax assessor is in the building, so didn't know if you had any comments on this item.
I came running down the hall. I was listening in my office. To answer your question in regards to, does this violate uniformity? No, it does not. Okay? It's no different than you have USD 01, you have USD 02. If you have different tax districts, you can have different millage rates. That doesn't violate uniformity. What would violate uniformity is if they weren't valued correctly or consistently with other properties that were in the same sort of condition. That could potentially have a violation of uniformity, but not just because they have a different millage rate.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Any other questions
That
around the
appears to be
table?
all the questions.
Okay, we'll bring
Well,
this.
wait, we got Counselor Crabb.
Oh, okay, got some that want to be
I was
heard,
just going
Mayor.
to ask for an executive session.
Name is Paul Olson. I live at 13830 Upatoy Lane. This blighted area issue's been really bothersome for probably 30 years to me. And Skip, Mayor, you were a city councilor, so weren't you, Gary Ellen? You were assistant city attorney back in the late 90s. I remember distinctly, and I fought this, I was the only person who fought this, community block development grant money coming from our federal tax dollars. At that time, it was $2.4 million. And TSIS basically said, we're going to leave the city if you don't give us this break. So we sent $1.2 million of our federal tax dollars, which should have went to blighted areas, but it didn't. It went to corporate welfare for the next 20 years. I repeat, 20 years, to the tune of $24 million. So we built Total Systems Campus, in essence. They considered that as being blighted. Skip, you remember. Gary, you remember. Clifton, you remember. Okay, I remember. I was the only one that fought this. And if you do the simple math, if you did $12,000 in putting a new roof, especially back then, you could have put it on for about $4,000 or $5,000. You could have put a paint job on it. You could have saved 1,000 homes times 12,000. That's 1.2 million, or that's 12 million. I'm sorry, but you would have saved 100 homes times $12,000. That's 1.2 million. And you do that times 20 years, you would have saved 2,000 homes in the blighted area. They would have had vouchers. So I think that basically that's a problem within itself, corporate welfare. And what did Total Systems do in return? Used to be able to go down 2nd Avenue and see that parking lot full of cars. And now that presence has gone away. You just see a handful of cars, and they've moved their operations to Atlanta. So they used us, abused us, and kicked us to the curb. And then you talk about people who have money. I remember Brent Buck with Orchard Mobile Home Park, and he was basically having these people rent from month to month. And they came to my flower shop on Buena Vista Road and said, Mr. Olson, can you help us out? And I said, I sure can. And I found out when Carmen Cabezu, the former city manager at the time, made a deal with Brent Buck. And at that time, on the Secretary of State, they'd not even established this LLC. And they signed it, and he bought it for $110,000. And we gave him out of the SPLOST money, $1.2 million. He made tenfold. He was 3 years, he only owned it for 3 years, and he was 3 years in the arrears. So when we talk about slumlords, we talk about some people out of Green Island Hills. We talk about another bunch of, I can talk about Mr. Thurman, you know, that real estate, you're familiar with the slumlord, things like that. And what we need to do is look at the community block development grant money that, what is it? Angelica, what have we got, about 1.8 million that comes through? Can I ask? Okay, I think it's 1.8 million, last time I looked. So what are we doing with that? Are we giving out vouchers? Are we taking care of these people? And when you talk about some of these people, they have the means of using the attorneys. If they're in a blighted area, they're in hardship situations. And so why are we attacking those people who really can't ill afford even to kind of even pay their taxes and do things and do upkeep? What we should have done is not done corporate welfare. What we should have done is done it through the spirit of the law, and that was to help out the blighted areas, not a corporate blighted area for them, and then they leave us and abandon us, you know? So what do we do with these properties that we demolish? We put them on access rolls at that time, and we sell it for, and I remember reading that we sell it for less than fair market value. So who's picking up these homes for a little bit of nothing? Can I ask that?
Mr. Olson, is this about the blight tax?
When you do the demolition of these homes, when the first reading in 6, what do you do with those properties, Mayor, may I ask?
They're demolished.
Yeah, and then what do? You put it on, I mean, you guys keep them, they're under yours, right? It's underneath the city government, they own it, right?
No. There are liens that are put on for the cost of demolition on the property.
And so you have a lien against them, right, sir? And then what do you do, what's the next process, may I ask, sir?
They're usually sold in a matter of course, but if not, the ultimate recourse is foreclosure of the lien.
Yes, for less than fair market values, right, sir? Because I've read that provision in there. So somebody's becoming rich off of these properties that are being demolished. if you know what I mean. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Hopefully you guys can actually use the spirit of the community block development grant money like it was supposed to be intentionally. That's where our federal tax dollars are going, and it's not going to where it's supposed to be going.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That's,
All right.
Counselor Davis.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got a quick question. Mr. Olson, I want to just know I understood you right. Were you under the impression that for 20 years, 1.2 came out of the community block development grant for?
All day long, sir.
Well, you know that's voted on in Washington every year, and we just get what they send us.
I know, but you guys chose, at the time they said, excuse me,
Okay.
at the time, TSIS and CB&T, they were incorporated at that time until things went to hell for them. CB&T and their, you know, when they went down to the Panhandle and Florida and started doing some buying at the 2008 time, and so they almost went under. They became a penny stock, Synovus did. So they had to kind of separate each other, but it was the city council and the mayor, Bobby Peters was the mayor at the time. They voted on it. Skip remembers, Gary Allen remembers, I remember. I'm 75, but I have not lost my memory, okay? And there was 2.4 million coming for the community block development grant. You guys decided, you voted on it for that money to go to TSIS campus, okay? You weren't here at the time. You were not here at the time. In
I
late
was not
90s.
here at the time?
No, not the late 90s, I don't believe. You might have been.
I think that would have been an annual just an annual.
No, sir,
approval at
it was
one
all
time.
incorporated
I think.
for 20 years.
Or what we're talking about here, economic development tax abatement for 20
No, sir,
years?
it was
For 20
through the
years?
community block development grant.
That total system, Scott?
And of course, this discussion is about the blight tax, and it's steered off of what you're there to speak about, Mr. Olson.
Yes, sir.
But I can tell you that the TSIS, number one, hasn't left town. The TSIS is still here, still employing people. I've got a brother-in-law, sister-in-law that go to work in there every day. So TSIS is still, even though they
There was about 500 pink slips given to
I
them.
just want to make sure people know that TSIS is in Columbus, Georgia.
Oh, it is.
Providing jobs.
But about 500 pink slips were given out.
Well, they may have got
the
a
last few years.
one-time or
Excuse
a
me,
one-time.
Yes, sir.
They may have got a one-time, I guess, request on that, but I think what they got was a criteria set that you have to meet in order to qualify for tax abatement through the Economic Development Authority. And that goes on for 20 years. Now, I don't know how you can commit for 20 years for CB Community Block Development Grant money, because we don't even know that's approved on an annual basis. And
They were also given the ICAP program, which gave them 24 million, because you had to have at least 500 workers, and them and Aflac got the ICAP, and they were set $24 million of our state funds to take care of both those entities.
Well, and
At the same time, they got workmen's
let's do it.
compensation because you had to have
We can-
a
I think
caveat of 500 workers.
Mr. Olson.
I think that may be true, but I
Exemption.
don't want to be confusing that, you know, that there was a commitment for 20 years out of the CBDG.
Yes, it was.
money. It didn't come out of that.
As God
It was
is-
probably
let's-
tax abatement.
Yeah,
if
well,
I'm-
let's do this. Let's get back to
But
the
anyway.
blight tax. If you
Yes,
have
sir.
a comment on the blight tax, that's
Yes,
great.
sir.
Otherwise, we'll move
But
on
it's
to
very
the next
important.
person.
All right, Simi Barnes, 31906. I'm glad to hear you say, Mr. Mayor, that this isn't going to affect mom and pop owners, because that was my primary concern. Well, you know, ordinance like this could actually increase financial hardship for them. It's a good ordinance, but I just have concerns. And so because there's a lot of enforcement and not a lot of help with this ordinance, I really think that the city should provide regular public reporting so residents can see how the ordinance is being implemented and whether it is actually improving neighborhood conditions. And I'm going to leave here with 3 questions. How will the city distinguish between, wrong question. What safeguards will be in place to prevent unintended displacement of long-term residents and inherited property heirs? Will there be periodic reviews of the ordinance to evaluate whether it is achieving revitalization without creating unintended harm, because I'm very concerned about unintended consequences, i.e. displacement. And then what proactive or early intervention measures will the city use to help property owners before severe penalties or increased taxes are imposed? I've seen lots of people come up here, they're mom and pops, and so I'm really concerned that they will be unintentionally harmed by this ordinance. So I would like to see some safeguards put in place for those folks.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, I think that's all the
All the
questions.
questions? We'll bring that back then in 2 weeks, Mayor, for a vote. We have requests for an executive session on matters of litigation, potential litigation, and personnel, Mayor. That's all we have listed.
All right, we'll move into the public agenda, and we'll remind you, you'll have 5 minutes, and we'll try to warn you kind of discreetly when you're getting close to that 5 minutes. If you can't finish your thoughts on that first time at the podium, you can come to the end of the clerk's agenda for an additional 3 minutes. We will ask all of you, whatever the issue is, we're going to ask everybody to kind of don't burst into applause and things of that nature, because it slows down the process, and we want to make sure that everybody's treated exactly the same. So, Councilor Huff.
Madam Clerk, I was monitoring things coming in. I wanted to register my yes vote for the Development Authority, the $250,000 grant that we talked about. They may be applying for, but we are on the hook for the money if not. And then the other votes that were taken right before I came in, affirmative. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, first on the public agenda is Ms. Annette Adams regarding the data center. Ms. Adams? Okay.
Hello,
Ms. Adams, if you would, give us for the record your name and your city or county of residence.
Annette Adams, I'm Muskogee County. I called to come to talk about the data center.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't let it come here, they're going to go to Talbotton County. And they're going to make all our local farmers leave because they're going to buy up all that property there. And I have friends out there that help people out in this city, including me. I'm sorry I'm winded. I had a procedure done today and my health is bad. So I don't know all about this data center, but I hate to lose all our local farmers, things that are not, have preservatives and stuff in it that I can get from them. It helps my health. I try to stay away from all the garbage that they put in foods today. And we really need them. So you need to think about this very seriously about letting it stay here, because if you're worried about the roads, they're going to travel up and down that road anyway to get to Talbot County. So that's my big issue about that.
Okay. Ms. Adams, thank you very much for your comments, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Y'all have a blessed week.
Okay. Next is Mr. Paul Olson regarding the public agenda. Welcome, Mr. Olson. Just your name and your city or
Yes.
county.
Yes, sir.
residence.
Name is Paul Olson. I live at 13830 Upatoy Lane. I'd like to discuss about the Planning Advisory Commission meeting on March 4th, 2026, which was held of the overlay district for the new data center. All boards, authorities, commissions must be in compliance of the OCGA 50-14-1, which is the Open Meetings Act. And they must adhere to Robert's Rules of Order, which you also have to comply with when they're conducting meetings. And all of those members are appointed by you, city council, mayor. And according to their meeting, visual and audio, they're in their minutes online, which lasted 3 hours and 10 minutes. After numerous people spoke, in fact, there's probably about 20, and there was about 100 people there in opposition, the board took a unanimous vote to table the vote and get more information before forwarding their decision to city council. So the last vote was to table it for continuance at the Planning Advisory Commission by the chairman, Brad Baker. And according to Robert's Rules of Order, once a meeting has been adjourned, it cannot be reconvened to take another vote, in which it did, and overturned that decision to send it to you, city council, okay? Which is as illegal as can be. It's not in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, and therefore it's not binding. And once, you know, they just put up those minutes last week, so that's the first time we got to see those minutes, and also to see the audio visual at that time. And the last thing he said, Brad Baker, the chairman, he said, "I'll be seeing you guys again." Then all of a sudden I see on the news that they took another vote, but the real problem was he, as the chairman, and 2 other people abstained, meaning they did not vote at all. So that sends a strong message that, you know, it wasn't kosher or anything at all, and it was illegal. So I'm just telling you right now that it can be contested there at the Clerk of Superior Court, and I think that all the minutes of the meeting should be on their website, and it's not right now. So on that second vote that they had, it's not on their minutes. It's not on audio visual. You can go on that right now. You go to www.columbusga.org, go on down to boards, go down to Planning Advisory Commission, and you can take a look at their minutes, and you can watch the audio visual. Now I'm going to go back to the public agenda. I think we discussed this last time, that basically it's considered duress, and that's basically illegal for you guys to conduct that as city officials and coercing people to actually forfeit their right of not speaking about the same topic, you know, every 60 days. And if you want to stop a movement, you want to stop opposition, just go ahead. And I did an open records request, and you implemented this law on January 29th, 2019. And the thing is, you've had it since the inception that you've been the mayor. You've taken away the old Teresa Tomlinson to 5 minutes and then a continuation of 5 minutes. You've reduced it to where it's 5 minutes and then 3 minutes at the end. That could be 2 hours from now. And that usually is that. And no one's going to go through that. No one's going to be a masochist. And that's considered harassment. And if you look at basically the credence of a civil rights violation, it is restricting your speech and also harassment. And the public agenda should be to the front because you guys work for us. I don't work for you. And like, again, a taxing authority, the school district puts us up front in the bus. Not you guys. You have disdain for us. You have disdain, honestly. If you look at yourself introspectively, that you have disdain. Because if you really respected us, and you know, I did 37 years in the military, Skip, from Vietnam to Iraq. And I've been from a private to retiring as a major. So I've had a roller coaster career for a life. So I've really sacrificed. And to think that you guys kind of disrespect the crap out of us, it's just, I mean, it's disrespect. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop now. That format needs to stop. Otherwise, I'm going to start going to the ACLU and the NAACP and the civil rights lawyers, and we're going to have to take and sue you guys, and you guys are going to have to be co-defendants, the mayor and city council, because you allowed this to happen, that format. So you need to stop that format, allow people to speak. Same way with when it comes to presentation. Last time I did a presentation on the view graph is when I exposed Dr. Pippas and the Columbus Regional of having to pay $35 million in restitution because they were overcharging cancer patients at John B. Amos Cancer Center. And that's why we broke that 30-year thing from 1992 to 2022. That's resolution 180-2. And the thing is that I stopped it, and that's why you guys got 2 mills in property tax relief. You have a great day. God bless you. And I hate being an auctioneer.
Thank you. All right, next is Dr. Donald Moeller regarding National Fire Protection Association guidelines. Mr. Moeller here. Okay, I don't guess he's... All right, next is Dr. Marvin Broadwater Sr. regarding allocation of additional funds for the Elections and Registration Office. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning. My name is Marvin Broadwater Sr. I live in the 31909 zip code. Greetings, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Madam City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, administration staff, and citizens of the greater Columbus area. I pray that all of you are well. First, I would like to wish on all the mothers, especially our single mothers here in the room, as well as watching this broadcast, a belated Happy Mother's Day. And to you, Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for your continued service to make this city the best community it can be for all the citizens. The genesis that started me on this present quest of securing an additional early voting site actually started in February of this year. As I sat in the audience of our election and registration board meeting for that month, imagine to my surprise in that meeting when I heard that the board was poised and positioned to approve a whopping $75,000 for an early voting site off Airport Thruway for 19 days. During the additional comment sessions at that meeting, I decided to ask the question to the board: why didn't you all pursue a location in what I call SoCo, which is South Columbus? Since the facility off of Airport Thruway was only 2 exits up from the Citizen Service Center, which is approximately 2.5 miles. That potential contract with the owner of that building off Airport Thruway, however, was unsuccessful and did not gain any traction. Please don't misinterpret my speaking on this issue as if I have an issue with placing an early voting site in that area, because I do not. It's quite the contrary. I believe we should have at least 3 additional early voting sites: one in Midland, one on the west side of Columbus, and of course, one in SoCo, South Columbus. It is my contention, if you are going to do it for one side of Columbus, do it for all. We are well aware to this, we're well aware that this is going to take additional funds. That is specifically why I'm here, since we are in the season of budget hearings. But again, that is your charge, to approve the budget. I would like to applaud you for your efforts in proposing an increase in the funding appropriations for the Election and Registration Office for the fiscal year 27 budget. However, in my humble opinion, it is not enough. If you are going to add 3 more sites along with staffing and equipment, you will need more funds. Why do we owe it to our citizens to make voting as accessible as possible? During the 250th birthday of the American experiment, the integrity of a democratic society hinges on a single fundamental process. That is the fair and efficient administration of elections. While much of the political spotlight focuses on candidates and campaigns, the invisible machinery of the election office is what ensures that every Eligible vote is cast, counted, and verified. For elected leaders, fully financing the election office is not merely a budgetary line item. It is a moral and functional prerequisite for a stable government. Furthermore, at its core, an election office is a logistical powerhouse. It manages voter registration databases, secures polling locations, maintains voting hardware, and recruits thousands of poll workers. When these offices are underfunded, the first casualty is often efficiency. It erodes public confidence in the legitimacy of the outcome. And I'll take the 3 minutes at the end. Hopefully we'll be through by 6 p.m. today, Mr. Mayor.
so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right. Next on the agenda is Ms. Elamine.
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I want to thank you and thank the Clerk of Council and Michael King. I finally figured out how to do Microsoft Teams, so I've been able to see everything, including those wonderful students from the Reese Road Leadership Academy. What a joyous day this is for Columbus, Georgia, to see our future leaders in 3rd grade stepping up the way they were stepping up today. It's a great day.
Yes, ma'am.
I do want to say that my subject of affordability is about the structural changes that need to be made in Columbus. Not very long ago, I remember the raggedy prison labor folks who were picking up the trash and going through the garbage, and how it was on the website saying, oh, they're not trying to get your personal information, they're looking for food. I thought what a scandalous shame that was to say such a thing. And now the connection between the Muskogee County Prison and how Warden Herbert Walker has transformed that, and to see the legitimate public works workers standing there in that room, those are the public works workers that should have always been. 15 years ago, it was an outrage of the prison labor. That's a structural change that has taken place, to see the beautiful public works trucks. And I cannot believe that I'm paying less than $50 a month for water, sewer, and trash pickup. It is amazing how affordable public works is. So I hope you give them everything they ask for in the budget request on this round. And there has to be a way to deal with the regressive sales taxes. That's a structural change that needs to take place. You are funding this budget with poor people paying regressive sales taxes for food and clothing. I lived in cities and states where there was no sales tax on food or clothing. Why can't we have less sales taxation in Columbus? We need a budgetary committee. Participatory budgeting is what I'm calling for. I've been sending you quite a few emails about what's happening in my other favorite city, Durham, North Carolina. If Durham can do it, Columbus can do it. It's very similar cities. And so I would really appreciate the citizens really stepping up in this budget process to participate, to say, calm down these sales taxes and stop spending so much on consultants and unnecessary stuff, and find a way to deal with affordable housing. It's a lot of land that's could be developed that the city owns. And all these demolitions, when the structures are torn down and the property is there, and then you put a lien on it, then you take the property. Mr. Olson asked some very good questions. There are some structural issues that may not get corrected until 2027 when we have new leadership. But start thinking about it now over these next 6 months. And I say that to the candidates who might win, as well as to all of you who are still making decisions over the next 6 months. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you again for allowing me to be in the meeting this way. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next is Mr. Corey Wilson regarding professionalism, transparency, and trust. Welcome, sir. Just give you name and your city or county of residence.
I'm Corey Wilson, Columbus, Georgia lifelong resident. This is my first time doing this. Good morning, City Council. My name is Corey Wilson. I'm a taxpaying citizen of this city. I'm not here to ask a favor. I've sat back and I watched and I studied my local government for the last 6 months, and I can no longer sit back, say nothing. I have to stand up for people my age, who's the majority in the community, 30 to 35. Transparency is not optional in democracy. It is the foundation of it. When developmental deals are made in back rooms, and I hear about data centers on Facebook before I hear about it from our elected officials, that is not government, that is betrayal. I've spoken to people who said they've been intimidated by members of this very city council. I don't understand that at all. Being a man with 2 daughters and a wife, I don't understand that. These are our constituents. These are the people who elected you all to these seats. The fact that any citizen feels afraid to speak their mind to an elected representative is a failure of leadership, full stop. Eyes roll when citizens speak. Empty chairs where you are elected to be at, not invited, elected. I'm sorry, let me get back to my spot. Condescending tones and dismissive body language directed at the very people who tax dollars fund your position. That is not becoming of a public servant. That is behavior of someone who has forgotten who they work for. That's to that. Now let me speak on House Bill 1339. Look at what's happening in our neighboring states. Look at the climate around redistricting, around disenfranchisement, around the systematic redrawing of our communities. If this city council, every single member, including the mayor, is truly of the people who elected you, then you should wholeheartedly support House Bill 1339. The bill does one thing. It gives the people the power to choose who governs them through a special election. Any candidate running that election will have to be qualified, they will have to campaign, they will have to appeal to the people. They will have to earn your vote, just like you all did. That is what democracy looks like. If you're truly serving the people, you should want that. You should welcome that accountability. Because if you're doing your job, if you're showing up, if you're being transparent and serving all the people, you have nothing to fear from the ballot box. Leadership that fears, shushes, or overlook the people's voice is a leadership that has lost its way. There are governmental measures in place for elected officials who choose self-interest over public service. The recall process exists, the ballot box exists, and an informed, organized, and activated community exists. We are not asking you to be perfect. We are asking you to show up, to be transparent. We are asking you to do your job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Alexa Johnson Anderson, regarding data center proposals.
Yeah, hey
Welcome,
guys.
ma'am.
I'm Alexa Johnson Anderson. I've been a citizen of Columbus for almost my entire life, and I've never come to the board about anything. And this is, for me, something that's so important. I mean, if we are living in the world today, we've heard about the data centers, we've heard about the impact of AI in our world, but I also think what Mr. Wilson was talking about, the transparency and trust, this is going to be a defining moment for this board here. So for the city council, when we look at the next 4 years, next 10 years, next 20 years, like this is gonna be your legacy, good or bad. Has anybody ever heard the game Whack-A-Mole? Like, raise your hand if you've ever heard about Whack-A-Mole. Like, that's what it has felt like as an ordinary citizen from this council. You know, the topic comes up and you're like, oh, we're gonna go meet and listen to it. Whack, it's been moved. You know, oh, it's gonna be this, whack, it's moved. I think there was supposed to be the first reading of the overlay today and it got moved. Am I correct in that? Is that correct?
Yeah, the overlay district was not on first reading because we didn't have time to get it advertised in the paper.
Okay, I mean, this is bananas. This is your opportunity to show stewardship of not just the land, not just the city government, but our people. And so as you start thinking about this, and I know the elections are about to come up, you cannot put your head in like the gopher tortoise burrow of this issue. Because I think, you know, I hate to say I've done my own research, but I have been requesting open records. It's not easy. You know, if you go to the website, the government website, and you're like, oh, this is where I go request, it goes to a pretty much blank page. Then you have to call 311. Then you have to go to the city attorney. And so when you think about access to information, making sure that we as citizens have the opportunity to know exactly what's going on, if it's hard to get that information and it's hard to attend a meeting and you have to wait for 2 hours, which is not a big deal, but people are working, you know, on a Tuesday morning. You know, you want to see representation. You want to see people say, this is what we care about. This is what we want to do. But you've got this chunk of time, and it doesn't feel like there's been the opportunity to really give our concerns. And just, you know, one of the things I wanted to think about is, like, say this is coming. Say we're going to have this. Are we putting the right language in place to protect ourselves? You know, when we're looking at that overlay, are we saying, all right, we do need an advisory committee, but does that advisory committee have binding authority? You know, or is it just like, oh, hey, we think this is how it should be? And so with that overlay draft or whatever it may be at this point, are we standing up for our citizens? Are we standing up for our community? Or are we allowing these big tech companies who are probably 20 layers deep of what the LLC is? Like, do we know who the end customer is for this? Like, if it's Meta or Google or any of these big tech companies, you know, if we have these ordinances and then they have an offense, does anybody know what the fine is per offense? Does anybody here know? $1,000. That's like the drop in a huge bucket. So I want to make sure that as we look at this, we are making the effort to protect ourselves. Like, I think it's going to come. I mean, I doubt that anybody's going to put a huge stop to it, but let's put the things in place that we need. And so I have a lot of things, but I'm running out of time. But, you know, looking at that 500-foot setback, like, are we protecting our neighbors in Harris County and Talbot County? Because it looks like it's right on that edge. Are we protecting them? Are we protecting ourselves? And then are we putting things like a cease operations within this overlay or within the ordinances? Because I think if we leave it up to these big companies to manage themselves, they won't. Like, it's going to be us who suffer injury.
Ms. Anderson, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next is Ms. Rebecca Thompson, Data Center Concerns. Welcome, Ms. Thompson. If you would
Hi, I'm Rebecca Thompson. I live at 936 Eden Street in 31904, and I am a licensed school teacher, or I'm a licensed Broadfield science teacher with the state of Georgia since 2013. I've been a resident of Columbus for over 20 years. I've raised 3 kids around here. And I would like to talk to you a little bit about our legacy with this data center. In a world where information is hurled at us like a blitzkrieg, details and deeds get forgotten, buried in the cracks of our memories, until something digs it up. Now, our proposed data center may be tucked away on the outskirts of town, but once ground is broken on that land, it will be a part of your legacy and a part of our legacy as a community forever. The lasting effects on Chattahoochee Valley will be numerous, and they will touch every single member of it. Your constituents and neighbors will see power outages. Despite promises otherwise, every single community with a data center has had power outages. Rate hikes on all utilities. The increased water to cool the data center down will increase your water bills. The increased natural gas to power and fuel the power plants will increase your natural gas bill. The increased power demand will increase your power bill, of course. And despite the fact that Georgia made a law about it, the wording in that law is so vague that we are finding it to be ineffectual. And John Ossoff is actually hitting brick walls trying to remediate that. Water interruptions. If you haven't been paying attention to the news this week, Fulton County has been having issues with water pressure loss. And that kind of got me laughing because, gee, nothing sets the tone for a bad day like a crappy shower, does it? Anybody remember that Seinfeld episode where he had the low flow shower installed? Can you imagine walking around in churches and grocery stores and everybody's glaring at you from underneath their flat hair? Data centers are also loud, and people just love a racket in their backyards, don't they? Really elevates the tone of that cookout when there's a constant drone overhead. Another one is a heat island effect. Data centers produce tons of heat, even with the water trying to cool them down, and they raise the temperatures of the areas around them, which then in turn will make the neighbors around there have to increase their power use to cool their homes, which will then increase more of a demand on our power and create more power outages in turn. Not to mention even the toxins, which are not even overtly available until people start getting sick. And all that for a non-job creating behemoth that will be an obsolete scab on our land within a decade. Once these effects start piling up on the people of Chattahoochee Valley and our surrounding communities, people will see that while the media's memory is short, a community's memory is long. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Dr. Natalie Nicole. And your topic is legislative process, council support, and failed local bills.
What is it? Good morning, good afternoon, Dr. Natalie Nicole with the 31901 zip code. I stand before you today deeply concerned about what appears to be a continuing pattern of selective priorities, reactive governance, and unequal representation within this council. Citizens are paying attention not only to the campaign rhetoric, but also to votes, patterns, outcomes, oversight, and leadership consistency, or the lack thereof. Good governance requires transparency, not only when legislation passes, but also when it fails. There's a few topics that I want to discuss today that you will see on the document that the nice lady is passing out. However, I'm going to start with the legislative advocacy and the failed bills. 4 bills associated to what I understand to be Democratic leadership failed, while 3 supported by the Republican leadership advanced and passed. Citizens understand that legislation does not simply die without influence, advocacy, conversation, or the lack thereof behind the scenes. I have a few questions. What advocacy took place behind the scenes? Did leadership remain silent? Because I do recall all of those people standing before us with you and discussing the needs before those bills went wherever they went. Did council actively support these efforts, or did someone quietly assist in ensuring these bills arrived dead on arrival? Citizens deserve transparency regarding what role local leadership played in advancing or failing to advance legislation impacting this community. Because allegedly what we understand as a community is that our mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, spoke on behalf of council and had these bills squashed behind scenes. That's what's understood in the community. The second thing that I would like to talk about is budget priorities and judicial system concerns. Citizens have watched this council approve approximately $2 million in overtime expenditures, millions in over budget spending. We've watched you expand requests for the police department, additional funding requests presented by a judge that came before you all. Yet somehow the same urgency and support could not be extended toward improving salaries within the Solicitor General's office or the Clerk of Superior Court's office. We watched Mr. Thomas come before you, give you the stats of more than 16,000 cases being backlogged, and we watched Mr. Davis and our mayor say it wasn't urgent. The only people who spoke up on behalf of supporting this was Mr. Walker and Mr. Chambers. This is especially alarming with a case of more than 16,000 being in backlog. Real people, real families, and potentially innocent lives waiting with a strange judicial system. The next thing I want to talk about is diversity and representation and the Columbus Sites arts concerns. We watched Z. Lawrence, beautiful soul of the Music and Entertainment Council, the Jazz Society, MAFest, stand before council requesting support. You all smiled in her face and stabbed her in the back. Her bill also is dead on arrival. And I cannot understand as a citizen why that is. Citizens notice that disconnect. For the past 2 years, this council has continued supporting the Columbusites Arts Organization and its leadership, including Ms. Carrie Beth Wallace, who is the director of the Columbusites and the mayor's liaison for the arts, despite repeated concerns regarding representation, accessibility, responsiveness, and diversity. For 2 years, and you'll see a picture, a screenshot, I have tried to get in touch with this young lady. Phone calls, no return. Email, no return. Social media, she deleted my comment and has ignored. But she's getting proclamations up here with a representation that does not reflect the diversity here in this city. And I'm gonna need my 3 minutes because I want to read the rest of what I have on my paper. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Next on the agenda is Greg Foster. Stop appeasing data center opponents.
My name is Gregory Foster, and I reside in the Chatham Woods subdivision, Columbus, Georgia, 31907. I request that this council stop appeasing data center opponents. Of course, people are entitled to their own opinions, but people are not entitled to their own facts. Every legitimate concern that data center opponents have raised have been proven to be unfounded by subject matter experts, or they were mitigated to the point where no reasonable adult would continue to be concerned. However, the opposition repeatedly raises the same baseless issues over and over again. And no one in the opposition appears to have any expertise in the science and engineering fields to build, operate, and maintain a data center. Simply stated, much of the opposition has no earthly idea what they're talking about. Therefore, they should not be given any special dispensation just because they went on Facebook and influenced other uninformed data center opponents, many of whom don't even know how algorithms affect the responses to the questions they ask online. So if they are not water conservationists, hydrologists, or environmental engineers, they cannot offer anything more than their personal opinion about the amount of water a data center will need to operate safely. If a data center opponent is not a sound engineer, a board-certified hearing specialist, or an otolaryngologist or ear, nose, and throat doctor, then they are not subject matter experts regarding hearing loss. And a former public defender has absolutely no business writing an amended ordinance to regulate data centers, especially since the Columbus Consolidated Government has a city attorney who has way more experience writing local government ordinances than some guy that used to be a public defender. And the amended ordinance that was drafted is so flawed, it fails to take into account all of the federal, state, and local laws or agencies that enforce those laws that already regulate centers, data centers, like the Clean Air Act, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, the National Environmental Policy Act, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, HUA, the Clean Water Act, the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, plus all the appropriate county and municipal ordinances that exist for any other business. That amended ordinance, which was obviously written by a novice with no formal education, training, or experience with data centers, simply consists of every possible regulatory requirement that could be placed upon a data center. It is obvious that it is only intended to restrict this project so severely that it will be impossible to build a safe and successful data center in Muskogee County. So please, stop granting considerations to data source center opponents that you would not normally extend to any other citizens. Just like all the people clapping like they're at a rock concert when people come up here and make a speech about things that they agree with. I'm gonna close at that because I wanna maintain my military bearing, but thank you.
Thank you, sir.
To this auspicious group that stayed around.
Next on our public agenda is Reverend Mark Lawrence, Steps to Moving Forward.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
My address is 35808. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. And I would like to just sit here and wait till every council member come back. I mean, it's impossible for the citizens of this community to protest or say anything openly in a very common way, and council people walk out during the public agenda. What I had to say, I don't want to say that anymore. What we have to do to move this city forward is look at those empty seats. And look at these citizens that get up out their bed and come into this council meeting. I miss my coffee to get here. And people are on social media talking about they have to take a break too. It's embarrassing. You're talking about mental health. Dang it, I have it too. When you get to dealing with people that give you stress and anxiety that won't sit in their council seats. And we are trying to help them as citizens to make this city go forward. How can we do this? It's embarrassing. Look around. I'm not up here with a lot of rhetoric. I don't need nobody's approval. I don't need to be voted for. And I don't need to be voted out of anything, but I will work on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. All right. Next is Mr. Mick Etchison, concerns on non-renewable energy. Hey, Nick, if you would just give your name and city or county residence.
Will do. My name is Mick Etchison. I live in District 3. I want to thank you all for allowing me to have the opportunity to speak today. I want to discuss some concerns I have for the energy usage for the Project Ruby hyperscale data center. Projects such as this requires a vast amount of energy, and I'm concerned for the environmental impact that may come from the installation of this data center. As discussed previously by Mrs. Hendricks and Choose Columbus, the total amount of energy needed is around 550 megawatts yearly, around 50 megawatts more than the entire power demands for this city in the same period. I'm greatly concerned about the power demands for this project and the subsequent energy needed. Natural gas will most likely be the primary power source of fuel for this project. Project Ruby, as discussed by Choose Columbus, will be drawing its power from Flint Energies, a power company that does business in several counties around Georgia. According to Flint Energies themselves, natural gas makes up 78% of their energy mix. Natural gas is a non-renewable power source. While less harmful than coal and oil, it's a source of power that generates carbon emissions all the same, which increases global temperatures around the world. As a result of the usage of non-renewable power over the last several decades,
Nick, I'm sorry to interrupt. If you'd pull it a little closer, a couple of them have a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry about that.
That's
good. Does it sound good?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
For the last decade, we've seen an increase in hostile weather events around the world. I'm concerned that this project will necessitate the installation of more natural gas and non-renewable energy plants to support it. This is happening right now as the Public Service Commission has recently approved a plan by the Georgia Power to double their energy capacity in the next 5 years. This is a $15 billion project consisting primarily of natural gas turbines and other non-renewable energy sources to help support the creation of these data centers that are trying to be installed around Georgia. These expansions will lock in these fuel sources for the next several decades, increasing this state's carbon emissions. These emissions harm us locally and globally. Any environmentalist plan for the land around the project would therefore feel hollow unless steps are enshrined that the data center utilizes renewable and environmentally friendly power sources in some form. It's been discussed recently by Mrs. Hendricks that while she doesn't know for sure what Habitat Partners, the owners of the land right now, plans to do with the rest of the land, what she has heard has her excited. I myself am interested to see what future plans hold for this land, especially as Habitat Partners has prided themselves as an environmentally focused land management company, according to their website. However, I feel that any project undertaken around this land after the completion of this data center would feel hollow without the regulation needed to ensure that the facility is an environmentally friendly one. As climate change continues to harm our way of life, this project represents, in its current state, our failure to change course. For instance, if climate change worsens, droughts such as the one we've been facing up until recently could become harsher over the next several years, and cost the city millions of dollars in lost revenue as a result of increased drought. This project will utilize natural gas most likely, and its very existence prompts our energy providers to stick with what works and build more natural gas plants, further polluting our shared planet. I feel strongly that any reward we receive today from this project will be overshadowed by the immense, inescapable harm from climate change tomorrow. With that, I ask you to consider adding rulings inside the tech overlay to require data centers such as this one to utilize environmentally sustainable fuel sources, at least in some of the power generation. Something around 30 to 50% at the very least, to help ensure lesser impacts on the city due to climate change. These protections would lessen the overall impact on the environment here and global emissions around the world. Thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. All right. All right, next, Mr. Gary Parker, regarding hostile environment. Welcome, sir.
Good
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and
If you would,
members.
for the record, just give us your name and your city and
Gary
county of
Parker.
residence.
I reside at 1350 Doe Valley Drive, Lithonia, Georgia, which is in DeKalb County. I'm here, I know the topic will be changing just a tidbit. I'm here, Mr. Mayor, to ask you and the council for your help, to help me, to help you, to deal with the problems of youth violence and Black male homicide. Many years ago, I think it was in 1989, I was at a conference in Washington, D.C. involving Black male homicides. And it became very clear to everyone here that those problems are problems in the Black community, for the Black community, and the Black community have to embrace and take responsibility in addressing those problems and understand that it is not solely the government responsibility to address those problems. I have represented and sat with probably 50 killers over my career. And in death penalty cases, one of the things we do is go back and look at childhoods. And those are the things we save people's lives because kids are traumatized, come up in all kinds of situations. And typically, the people I've dealt with are poor people. The mothers are poor, and generally, they don't have people speaking up and speaking in their interest. And so what I'm trying to accomplish and helping the sheriff, countryman here, is to start on the front end. And in order to start on the front end, we need someone that's going to be able to sit with mothers, low income and poor mothers, and build a bond, develop a relationship, and get them to come into this cooperative stance to address this problem. Dr. Sullivan said in '89 when I was at a conference in DC, that much of the health problems within the Black community can be traced to the erosions of values like family, community, and personal responsibility. Our only hope for solving those problems lies in returning to and rebuilding those basic, essential institutions and values. That's what we want to embark on and start here in Columbus, Georgia. I understand and understand this. Many of the mothers of criminal defendants are poor women. We need someone that can have that kind of relationship and credibility that they can develop that relationship with them to get to work on this. I've talked with Sheriff Countryman, and I truly believe, Mr. Mayor, that your Assistant Police Chief, George Fitzpatrick, would be the perfect candidate to assist in getting this kicked off. We have to have a woman at the forefront. We have to have a Black woman, but we have to have the right one to develop the kind of rapport that needs to be developed. I understand now she's working from home, and I have a personal ask of you, Mr. Mayor, and this council, is to allow her to go and work in conjunction with Sheriff Countryman, the way to address this from the very beginning. Now, just to know this, you only have 7 weeks in this budget year. I talked to Sheriff Countryman. He said that if he needed to hire her, that you did a budget adjustment, he could do that. But he was not going to do that unless he had a buy-in by the city council. The other way you could deal with her being there working on this is just leave her in the police department budget for 7 weeks. July 1st, she's going to go work for the sheriff. The sheriff says he's excited to work with her up until July 1, but after July 1, he wants her to work for her. So what I need from you, Mr. Mayor, and this council is to take the necessary steps to allow her to go there starting tomorrow morning to work with him on this issue. I am not being paid by anybody to come here. I am here to speak in the interest of Black women in general, and more specifically, poor Black women. You would not know how it feels to sit and stare a mother in the eyes when the government is trying to kill all 3 of her sons. In all of these situations, mothers feel that they are to blame, and they're not. But we are not going to address this, fix this, unless we start on the front end. And that's what I need your help and buy-in on. I need George Dent Fitzpatrick to go and start working with the sheriff to help get that done. And I'm just asking you to make that happen so that she can start doing that tomorrow. Right now, Mr. Mayor, she's at home, working from home, and I can tell you this, working on this issue on the front end is going to be much more important and much more vital to this city, because all of us have a responsibility to take those tears out of this woman's eyes. I know what it is to bury a child. And in every murder case, remember this, there are 4 victims, the defendant, the victim, and both their mothers. Thank you so
Parker, I
much.
appreciate you being here. And I'll tell you what we will do. This is much bigger than just to sit around the table and make a motion and start talking about shuffling personnel. But I can promise you that we will get our HR director involved and we'll take a look at this. It may be something that benefits the city. As long as it benefits the city, both departments and the public, then we're happy to try to take a look at any recommendations. But I appreciate you bringing it forward.
Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye.
All right. All right, next is Ms. Jessica Warshall, First Amendment rights. I don't see Ms. Warshall. All right, next is Mr. John Van Dorn. Timing of the first reading of the proposed technology overlay. Mr. Van Dorn, welcome. Just state your name and your city and county or county of residence.
Good morning. I am Dr. John Van Dorn, a native and longtime resident of Columbus, Georgia, 31901. It is a privilege and an honor to appear before you. I have been doing this run now for 11 months, and I am very privileged to share with you the fruits of my labor. I think I have some important information to share with you and some requests to make. The information, and as a political scientist, I don't get angry at a fact, that I have been knocking thousands of doors along with my team, and I always ask everybody, what is your #1 issue of concern about the city of Columbus? And before February, it was public safety, affordability, and jobs, and those are still extremely important. But after the rumors about the data center began to seep out in February, it suddenly switched to the data center. That was across the city, all races, classes, groups, other categories. It was the #1 response. This is the citizens' major concern. Of all those folks, I think I heard 3 people that were for the data center as proposed, and that's 3 out of thousands. In other words, that's less than 1%. So in public opinion polling, we never get results like this, where there is a massive majority on one side of an issue. And I think that's extremely important for you all to know. We're not just talking about the good folks here, we're talking about what the majority of citizens think. Now, I would love to do a scientific poll to back this up, and I would encourage not my colleagues yet, I would encourage council to think about doing that in the future. So their concerns are about process and about the data center itself. The process, they believe, has been secretive, it's been rushed, there's been a lack of timely and credible information, and that's been further eroding the trust that people have in the city council, and that's not a good thing. We need to restore the trust, not decline it. The second main concern they have is with the data center itself. They believe it's very high cost and low benefit. It's high cost in terms of damage to the environment, to a way of life, to our utility bills, and so forth. On the benefit side, they can't believe there is not a community benefit agreement being negotiated if we are going to move forward on this that would bring concrete money to affordable housing, to enterprise, entrepreneurial funds, to education and so forth, like other communities have done. They also find the claims about hundreds of high-paying jobs, frankly, not credible because of what they see in other data centers. And they also believe that the tax money promised is very illusory or not what it's promised to be. So because it's such a high cost and low benefit, that's why the majority of folks are opposed in its current form. So here's my request. #1, would you state on the record before the election, because democracy requires we have informed citizens, and I'm willing to put myself out there before the election and say this is what I stand for. #1, do you support the data center as is currently proposed, where it's proposed to be? #2, do you support the very weak technology ordinance as written and from PAC and planning? #3, given that, do you support then a moratorium or pause through 2026 on any further action on the data center so that we can have an independent commission of true subject matter experts and a true cross-section of all Columbus sites? I can show you how to do that with a sortition. We'd use the voter registration polls to get a representative sample of citizens on this committee. And #4, would you, as a council, recommend a referendum on the fall November election, putting the matter to the citizens' voice about the data center? So for me, it's no, no, yes, yes. No on the data center as proposed, where it's proposed. No on the technology ordinance. Yes on a pause in a expert committee, and 4 yes on a referendum. So I still have 1 full minute. I would love to hear from any or all of you what your stand is on those 4 questions, if that's possible before the election, so people can make an informed choice. Any response? No? Wow. So apparently the technology overlay was delayed yet again after the election. We can speculate whatever the intent was for folks. They believe that that means there's a further attempt to sweep this under the carpet and not face the electorate for another 2 years until we have another election. Well, I don't know what course others may take, but for me, I choose to listen to and follow public opinion and always seek to do the public good, not just for private gain. So again, I'm disappointed there's been nothing on the record before the election. You could still put something on the city website. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's it for the public agenda. We'll go to the Deputy City Manager, Goodwin's. Can't find it, there we go.
Okay, thank you, thank you. The first item on the city manager's agenda is a approval to proceed with executing the funding of pre-construction requirements for the Band 3 T-SPLOS projects, which include Double Churches Road improvement for $12.2 million and the Bull Creek Dragonfly Connector for $8.4 million.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion on that item? Hearing none, if you'd put it on the screen, and council, you can cast your votes. All right, all those in favor of that item, say aye. Any opposed? All right, that's approved.
Okay, item 2 is a street acceptance.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the street acceptance of Calf Creek Lane. Any discussion on that item? All right, it's on the board. Council, if you would, enter your votes when it comes up. Have we got that? There we go. Okay. We've got. All right. All right, Councilor. All right, that's approved.
Okay, item 3 is a entering into an agreement with GDOT for the street lighting agreement at County Line Road.
Okay, there is a motion and
This
a
is a
second.
TIA project.
Any discussion on the street lighting agreement? All right, can we put it on the screen? There we go. Council, please put your vote in. Okay, that's approved. All right, there's a motion second to approve items 4 and 5. Any discussion on those items? All right, again, for the public's edification, when they vote on one item, it actually approves both of those. So please enter your votes. And while we're talking about item 5, let me just make mention of the fact that we love when citizens are trying to beautify our community, and that public art out there really creates a sense of place. But I will remind you that even though it's going to be gorgeous and it looks great and it enhances the area, there's a process that we have to go through with the city. So make sure that you do go to the city and make an application to make whatever change it is you want. We've had folks plant all kinds of nice things on the corners. We just need to make sure the city knows about that, because most of those places have no irrigation. So it just ends up creating kind of a challenge. So, but don't stop doing it. We want you to continue to make the city look better. So thank you for that.
Okay, items 4 was the Columbus Lions lease agreement, and that is providing an amendment to allow them to use the digital signage that is there at the Civic Center, and they're fully responsible for that. It has been approved by the Sports and Entertainment Authority. Item 5, of course, is the public art at the Lake Bottom Band Shell. Our purchases include, the first item is a contract.
All right, there's a motion second to approve all of the purchasers A through K. Is there one that anyone wants pulled? All right, all those in favor of all the purchases, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, if you would, go through the items so the public knows what we spent the money on.
The first item is a contract extension for portable toilets for various departments. This is an annual contract. The second item is an emergency remediation and reconstruction services. This is with Service Master Recovery Services, and this is an annual contract. Item C is tire leasing services for Metra, an annual contract. Item D is oil and lubricants for Metra, which is also an annual contract. Item E is there were 326 used and confiscated firearms that will be swapped and for the Columbus Police Department for 15 Heckler and Koch units and accessories at a cost of $35,161. Item F is a service agreement amendment for automated victim notification system in the amount of $61,547. Items G through J are in provisions and installation of playground equipment at Flat Rock Park, Shirley Winston Park, Heath Park, and Rigdon Park. Item K is a declaration of surplus and trade-in of golf carts at Bull Creek. These are 2021 golf carts that will be traded and applied toward the lease of 50 new carts. We also have one other item that is an add-on that has been passed around your desk. This is for the Gallup Senior Center and Pop Austin Recreation Center roof replacement. We were going to place this on an emergency purchase, but we were able to get the RFP ready for your consideration today. And this is, we need to get these roofs repaired as soon as possible because of further deterioration within the buildings. This is.
Motion second to approve the roof repair. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Are there any opposed? All right, that's approved.
Okay, we do have a couple of updates. One has already taken place with the STEM Carver Park project with Reese Road. Next, we have the River Keeper, who's going to come and talk about, give us trash trap update, and that is Henry Jacobs, the Deputy Director of the Chattahoochee River Keeper and team. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for the chance to share a brief update on Chattahoochee Riverkeeper and our trash traps. I'm joined by my colleague, Venetia Strahota. My name's Henry Jacobs. I have a few images, but just to highlight real quick, Chattahoochee Riverkeeper, we're a nonprofit organization, been around 32 years now. We have 20 full-time staff members working up and down the whole Chattahoochee River, 4 different office locations, including a laboratory at Columbus State University. Around 10,000 members support our work. Our budget on an annual basis is around $2.5 million. About half of that comes from individual donations, a quarter of that from foundations, and the rest is from corporate. And a few local governments do support our work, like the City of LaGrange, Brookhaven, South Fulton. So that's quick little, highlight. Riverkeeper, we're out there. We're doing water monitoring, education. We get schools out on our floating classroom, and we're also doing trash cleanup. So just a few images. I wanted to cycle through this guy right here. All right. Just to highlight, you know, we're out in the community organizing volunteer cleanups. This was on the Riverwalk over at Rigdon Park doing a cleanup. We put these out to the public to join us. So it's nice when we get, 20, 30 people show up, help for 2 hours, get 1,000 pounds of trash out of the park or along the river and creeks. This was at Cooper Creek Park doing a little paddle cleanup. Oh, this was a month or so ago. That's right under the Dillingham Street Bridge. We did a paddle cleanup, put it in the river, floating down to Rotary Park. That same paddle, we had a local artist, Butch Anthony, bring along his pirate boat to help as a trash barge as we were picking trash and kayaks. And so had a nice group of folks volunteer their time to clean up the river with us. Now for a quick overview of our trash trap program, which this time last year came before council, had a memorandum of understanding for Riverkeeper to install 2 trash traps in local creeks here in Columbus. And right, last year in total, we had 18 trash traps operating, including the 2 in Columbus. They removed about 5,000 pounds of trash. That's the equivalent of 250,000 plastic water bottles. So that is our goal, is to get this trash out before it reaches the Chattahoochee. This is our installation at Dinglewood Park. Midtown is supporting that one. So a very good partnership. It's right next to that new bike park. At Cooper Creek Park, we were able to install a floating wetland trash trap, which is a very unique, one of the first of its kind in the country. A company from Australia donated the device to us. We've had a lot of positive feedback. It's also collected nearly 300 pounds of trash over the last year. And so you see Venetia, after one of our weekly or so cleanouts, every time it rains, it's collecting trash that's flown off of neighborhoods, parking lots. So I know my goal here is we would like to renew that MOU with the city. I had a meeting with Pam Hodge and the engineering department last week, just going over this program, some of the other work Riverkeeper's doing in the community. I'd love to be able to work with them and maybe have flexibility to install more of these devices out in the community to pick trash before it gets to the river. So thank y'all. If you have any questions, otherwise I appreciate your time.
And we appreciate what y'all do. I know you took us on a little tour of my office to kind of see some parts of the Chattahoochee that we probably don't see very often. And just what a big job y'all have. And I think that's a great, it was a great advertisement for trash traps too. Any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you for that, and we will be bringing back that MOU.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and our last add-on is with Angelica, and she will bring Danielle Forte up on a request.
Yes. Hello again. So the clerk of Superior Court is here pursuant to ordinance 13-39, as well as the budget ordinance for FY26. 13-39 just says that if a department head or elected official is trending to exceed their budgeted appropriations, they do have to come before council and request additional funding. The budget ordinance specifically says that if there is an intended use of any projected salary savings, those salary savings have to be expressly approved by this council. So the clerk is a little different in terms of the request today. She is not coming to request additional funding from the council. The request, as far as the funding is concerned, already exists within the clerk's budget. It is just moving funding from one appropriation to another appropriation, moving funding, reallocating funding from the personnel appropriation to the operating appropriation. The clerk can speak more specifically about that, but again, it is just moving salary savings from the personnel appropriation to the operating appropriation to support some of the training needs in the clerk's office. The amount of the request was $70,000. 70,000.
All right, there was,
And I'll turn it over to the clerk.
Good morning, well, I guess it's afternoon, whatever time it is. I would like to start with just a simple ask regarding my fiscal year budget 2026. I'm not asking for new money. I'm asking to move $70,000 already appropriated to my office from salary savings, personnel, to training and travel. And this is for legitimate clerk office functions. Now, I would like to state that once council approves the annual budget for a constitutional officer, which I am, that budget is under the officer's control. The funds must be spent lawfully and for office purposes. But the spending judgment belongs to the elected constitutional officer, not county staff. Georgia law recognizes that transfers below the legal level of budgetary control require only budget officer approval. Usually, most, always, not council approval. The Georgia Supreme Court precedent recognizes that while the county approves the budget, it may not dictate how the clerk, me, spends the approved budget in carrying out official duties. Now, this request should have been routine. It's the same office, the same approved budget, no increase in total spending, and no transfer from another department. Most importantly, this is no request for new taxpayer dollars. Just a line item transfer so required training can be paid. My training budget, and this is just a practical, and more on this next week when I present my budget proposal for fiscal year 2027. My training budget since becoming clerk has remained at $2,000. It has been stuck there for years. The amount is not realistic for a constitutional office with required training and obligations. My operating budget has also not meaningfully increased. Flat funding during years of inflation is not flat funding. It is a cut in spending power. And let me add, it wasn't until this year that I've attended the required and suggested training for my office. First off, I was not able to do so when I first became the clerk for reasons I'll go into detail next week based on the pushback I received from members of this body and members of the executive branch. Next, COVID hit, and so that kind of precluded and stopped my ability to do all the necessary training. And last, I was undergoing breast cancer treatment, so that also curtailed my ability to participate in this travel and these courses. And I'm glad I did so this year. It was quite productive, particularly with the Tyler Conference. And we're meeting with the judges in order to hopefully improve and mainstream the case management system that this body and previous elected officials approved and was purchased. Now, I asked Finance to transfer the $70,000 from salary savings to training. I was told that Finance could not do that without counsel. My attorney reviewed the issue and engaged with the city attorneys. The legal position taken by the city does not square with Georgia law or with the city's own budget framework. Communications between the attorneys explained that the transfer is within the clerk's, which is me, current approved appropriation below the applicable legal level of control and it's not an over expenditure. The concern is not just the $70,000. The concern is why a basic administrative transfer became a dispute. Why does a routine budget matter require the clerk to hire an attorney? Why is it the default answer, particularly with me, always no when the law and the budget allows the transfer? Who is making the decision if council is not? Now, I respect the council's role. Council approved my office budget, and I'm asking council to now make clear that staff must not use line item mechanics to control the constitutional officer's lawful spending decisions. If council wants to change the total appropriation, that's the council's decision, and I will respect that. But staff should not block lawful transfers within an already approved clerk's office budget. Now, my closing ask is that you authorize the $70,000 transfer today and direct staff to process it promptly. Direct staff going forward, and that's my ask, that you direct the staff going forward to honor lawful intra-budget transfer requests from the clerk's office without requiring unnecessary council action. Also, I would ask that you recognize that the clerk's training and operational budget needs to be brought into line with reality. So in closing, I would say that this should not have been controversial. I'm just shocked. Well, I'm really not shocked because that kind of seems to be the modus operandi that I've encountered since becoming clerk of Superior Court, since the constituents gracefully voted me into office. Winning every precinct, I have been faced with one problem after another, but more on that next week. I'm asking to use funds already appropriated to my office for legitimate office training. I respectfully ask council to be the voice of reason, authorize this transfer, and direct staff to follow the law going forward.
All right, we have a motion and second, but we've got some issues to it. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you being here this morning, and I would like to ask, next week, would you kind of give a breakdown on what training is that you're looking for and where the training is, if it's in Georgia or if it's outside Georgia? Just kind of give us a breakdown of that.
And I could, it's in the, if I'm not required, it's in my budget proposal. That was to the mayor. Okay. Yeah, all that is required, and so I'll just bring that and I'll restate it, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, the motion and the second is on the table. Any further discussion?
Just for a point of information, all of the budget requests that were submitted by the departments and elected officials, it is on that SharePoint site that I share every week. It is also on the thumb drive that you all have received in the binders. So if you want to view that information prior to next week, you do have it available to you via the thumb drive and the SharePoint site that's shared via email.
All right. Again, we'll call the question unless there's any more comments. Yes, sir. Hang on, I lost you. Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, let me just ask you a couple questions. So you want to use the money within your budget from salary savings?
Yes.
So is that from a position or several positions, or how are we to presume that?
It was from several positions. We have not filled completely our personnel. So it's, am I right on that, Angelica? Is it not several positions? Several positions.
And can I ask how long those positions have been vacant?
we've had people come in and out, but I don't have a direct answer as to, because it's several positions, so we filled it, and then people will leave, and we have to,
Well, I asked that, we've been talking about that quite often lately, but I just wanted to ask that question. The other thing, do you plan on, in the future, hiring these positions back?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the only reason we're pulling is because our travel budget has only remained at $2,000.
So
But,
this is
so,
a-
but we do, and we have requested an increase in that line item.
Should I receive this as a one-time request?
I would not commit to that. I can't predict in the future. I mean, it's the one-time request for fiscal year 2026, absolutely.
But you plan on hiring these positions or a position in the future?
Yes.
So that would essentially increase your budget.
I don't think it would increase my budget. I already have that money in my budget now
So you
to
would-
hire these individuals.
That's why I'm asking you, would that be a one-time expenditure on your travel and your educational expenses, and then when you hire that person, you wouldn't be doing it?
No, I have no intention, but I have to make my appeal next, during this budget season.
Right.
Because that was not in the mayor's proposed budget to increase that line item.
So no intention to do what?
Well, if I get an ask and the council meets my needs, then of course, obviously, I would not ask for it.
So will you be coming back to ask for another position in the future?
I think we did ask for some positions.
I mean, in respect to what we're talking about.
We asked for a new position. Did we ask for one new position? How many positions did we ask for? Not this year. Okay, this year, for fiscal year 2027, we didn't ask for a new position.
Okay, so.
So that would be the future, fiscal year 2027, we did
Right.
not ask for a new position.
I'm just asking, should I expect, when the budget is presented again, that you'll use this 70,000 on a position of salary savings that you want to use today for travel and education?
That is the intent, but we don't have enough money for the travel. So line items might need to be moved. So I cannot sit here and commit that I will not come back. I'm hoping I won't have to, but that I will not come back and ask for line items to be moved. I don't know what might happen, so I can't make that commitment.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out the intent that you're describing to us today, what the intent of that money is in the future to be used. You're telling me you want to use your savings, or you're telling the council you want to use your savings because it's salary savings, and you want to use it for travel and education here out.
Oh, no,
Well,
just
then
this
You're telling
year.
me that you expect to come back and
Yeah,
ask for
just
that
this year,
position
because
later.
I've traveled and we have exceeded the $2,000. So we're asking for that money to be used because $2,000 did not
I'm
cover
getting
the
confused
expenses.
now. Are you telling me you're over budget?
I am not over budget. Because of the salary savings, I'm moving a line item from one area to another within the budget. So I'm not asking for additional or new money.
So you didn't have the money to cover it, so you're using your savings to cover it now,
Right. Yes,
within your budget?
within the budget.
Okay, so the way the budget works in terms of budget adoption and appropriation, there's a personnel appropriation,
Right.
an operating appropriation, capital appropriation. She has salary savings in her personnel appropriation due to vacancies and so on, as the clerk mentioned. Her operating appropriation is currently over budget. It is currently over budget, about $16,000. There are some credit card charges due to the travel that the clerk has attended for the conferences, her and her staff, that are forthcoming. There are some documents that are pending processing in the finance department because the operating budget appropriation is over budget. The way the finance system works from a budget appropriation standpoint is that once your operating budget appropriation is exceeded, you can no longer process documents against your operating budget appropriation without there being some form of an override. That override requires the finance director's approval.
Right.
I do not override documents from a budget override standpoint without the council's approval.
Right. That, I mean, I look at it as a control. What I'm trying to get to, what I'm being asked here today, I want to make sure that I'm being asked for the right thing with the intent and purpose of doing that. I don't want to be asked for additional funds to continue a measure and then you plan on coming back and asking for more money. To me, that's kind of a bait and switch. And I don't want to get caught in that. So that's why I'm asking you the question. I don't mind helping you within your budget to meet budget and to take care of this, but if your intent is to do that today and then come back and continue to do that and then ask for those salary savings back to fund a position, that's totally different than what's being communicated to council.
Okay, so, right, so this is just for FY '26.
Right, and I'm okay with that.
Yes, okay, so we're only dealing with
I'm
FY
asking
'26.
hypotheticals here with the intent of the clerk. I'm just asking the clerk what our intentions are in the future.
Well, okay. Well, I think the intent is to fill the position.
Yeah, the intent is to fulfill the positions. But again, things happen, and so even if it's not for travel, if things are, but still within the budget that gets approved for fiscal year '27, because other than this, I'm able to move line items, but, you know, with this particular situation, so this is a line item move, so if funds are needed in order for me to perform my statutory duties as clerk and fulfill those obligations, then I will do whatever's necessary in order to fulfill those obligations.
Nobody's questioning that.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is set an even tone across the government, because if we make a decision like this, what do I tell the next person coming in asking the same?
Well, if it's a
That's where-
constitutional officer, hopefully you tell them the same thing you're telling
Well, I would
me.
hope constitutional officers wouldn't do that to us or the citizens in using that as a disguise to increase their budget in the future to continue to get what they choose is necessary. I would hope that would not happen. I'm not saying
And I'm
that's the
not doing
case.
that either, so.
That's kind of
yeah.
my responsibility to ask those questions and keep those checks and balances, because I can't answer just to you. I got to answer to everybody across the board. And just want to make sure we're all clear going into this, because, you know, it works the other way too. If we don't collect revenue and our budget goes down, then you're going to be faced with cutting your budget. Then what is the question going to be?
Well, my budget's been cut, so yeah, I'm familiar with
But
that.
you know what I'm saying.
Right,
I mean, this year we helped the employees immensely with their health care, cost of living, your employees too, cost of living, everything. If we are charged, we can't do that in the future because we got to take care of these overages. We don't have the revenue. That's not going to look good. So,
Well, I have no intention on asking for extra or overages, so.
Okay.
Okay,
all right.
okay.
Thank you for being
Thank you.
patient with me. Appreciate it.
All right. Mr. Anchor?
Clerk, thank you. What's the average annual travel expense that you would expect for your department in following years, if you had your wishes? What's a reasonable amount? 70, going from $2,000 to 70 sounds
Right.
like you're back
That, you caught me at a disadvantage. That is something that, again, was in the proposed budget, the actual amount.
All
I'm
right,
looking at my chief, but
We'll get it next week. Thank you.
yes, absolutely.
Councilor Chambers?
So, quick question. Are you actively recruiting for those positions?
Yes, yes, and we actually, we've had some that were coming aboard that were to start, I think, next Monday. And we've been running into some obstacles as far as getting the positions announced, and it's just been painstaking. So we might have to, and the issues we've had with HR, full transparency, people will give their 2-week notice, and then it gets extended another 2 weeks and a month. And so then the people find another job. So email threads and email communications have been going back and forth in reference to that issue as well. I mean, it's just been one of those situations that every little thing becomes problematic. But the short answer is yes. But sometimes we lose them before they even get on board because we've also experienced extensive onboarding issues.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Full transparency, full transparency.
Yeah, I just don't want you to give up your critical positions.
I
to be
appreciate you, Councilor
allocated
Chambers,
towards-
yes.
We just need to make sure that we, get you the training dollars that you need. So I wanted to ask that question.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Counselor Crabb?
Thanks. If you're going to use salary savings, then you can't fill those positions because that's double dipping. Am I saying this right? Because you're taking the money that's been set aside for salaries and you're putting it over into education and travel. That money over here doesn't exist anymore, so they can't hire someone to fill those positions if they're using the salary savings from those positions. Is that?
That is an excellent point that you made, but when we provide salary saving estimates, we do take into account the vacant positions that they have, and we do anticipate that they're going to fill those positions that are currently vacant. So the salary savings that she is utilizing are those salary savings that she's already achieved.
Okay, thank you. I wanted that to be clarified. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's all the questions. There is a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion on that item? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, that's approved. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
That concludes my agenda, Mayor. Thank you. That concludes my agenda.
Okay. All right. We'll go to the Clerk of Council's agenda. Ms. McLemore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the clerk's agenda, the first 4 items are memos from me outlining upcoming terms that are set to expire the end of June. We have one for Keep Columbus Beautiful, Pension Fund, Region 6, and the Retirees Health Benefits Committee. Item number 5 is an honorary street designation. This is a request to forward the application to the Board of Honor for consideration.
Motion second to approve forwarding that to the Board of Honor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, that's approved.
Item number 6 and 7 are both resignations, one from Mr. Taylor from the Sports Entertainment Authority and the second from Fran Carpenter from Bihar.
Motion second to receive the resignations. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion second to receive the minutes as printed in your packet. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, they're approved.
Next, we have board appointments. First, we have the mayor's appointments. We have the Pension Fund Employees Board of Trustees. We have a vacancy for the business community.
Still working on it.
Yes, sir. And we will need your nominee for the Youth Advisory Council.
I'll do that.
Item number 10, these are council appointments that are listed for confirmation. There were a few add-ons and changes, ultimately corrections that I needed to make to the boards. First, we have the Historical and Architectural Review Board. Tracy Dean was nominated back in March, and we did receive her nominee application on the 5th of May, so we do need to confirm her.
Motion second to confirm Ms. Dean. All in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? All right, she's affirmed.
And for Keep Columbus Beautiful, we have Ashley Stanley that was nominated to fill a vacant seat.
Motion second to confirm. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? She's confirmed.
For the Historic and Architectural Review Board, we did get confirmation that Jonathan Peller has been serving as the Columbus Home Builders Association rep, and we do need to confirm him to continue serving.
All right, there's a motion second for confirmation. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
And there is a vacant seat for the Uptown Business Association. Next, we have council district seat appointments, and any nominations would be confirmed at this meeting. For the Columbus Development Advisory Council, we have vacancies for districts 1, 4, 5, and 9. For the Public Safety Advisory Commission, we need nominees for districts 5 and 9. For the Youth Advisory Council, we have all 10 districts listed. We do have a nominee from Councilor Huff. We have Zach Burgess. Mayor Pro Tem is nominating Cruz Castellano, and Councilor Kogel is nominating Ezra Hollyfield, and they may all be confirmed.
Motion second to confirm those listed. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? They're confirmed. Oh, I'm sorry. Deputy City Manager Goodwin.
I do want to just mention that I have a sheet that I've placed at each of your desks regarding the timeline for the Youth Advisory Council and the information that is needed so that we can get them appointed timely. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have council appointments, and any nomination would be listed at the following meeting. For the Animal Control Advisory Board, we have a vacant position for the Georgia Vet Tech and the Animal Rescue Shelter Representative. We need a nominee for the Board of, Darlene Small is eligible to serve another term on the Board of Family and Children's Services. Thank you, Councilor Huff. We'll bring this nominee back at the next meeting. We do need a nominee for the Board of Health and for the Building Authority of Columbus. For the Columbus Golf Authority, we have 3 individuals that are eligible to serve another term. We have Mr. Nobles, Miley, and Jones. We'll bring these back at the next meeting. That was Coleman, sir? Yes. Okay. All right, we will bring these back at the next meeting.
Councilor Davis.
I'd like to nominate Brian Lunsford for Ken Crumpler's seat.
All right, thank you, sir. We will bring these back at the next meeting. For the Columbus Sports Entertainment Authority, Gerald Miley serves as the Golf Authority rep, and he is eligible to be reappointed. We will bring this back at the next meeting. For the Liberty Theater and Cultural Arts Center Advisory Board, we have 3 vacancies, one of which is a recommendation that comes from the Civic Center Director, and we are just waiting to hear back from her. For New Horizons, we still need a nominee for Judge Ranieri's seat, and then for Nancy Schroeder, Sandra Gill, and Senator Ed Harbison, they are eligible to serve another term. We will bring these back at the next meeting. Thank you. For the Personnel Review Board, we still have vacancies for alternate members 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, we've got a couple of people before we go into an executive session. We've got a few folks that had asked to have 3 more minutes. I believe the first one I have down here is Dr. Marvin Broadwater, Sr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 31909. Again, I'll just finish up reading where I stopped off. When these offices are underfunded, the first casualty is often efficiency. It erodes public confidence in the legitimacy of the outcome. By providing robust financial support, elected leaders ensure that the pipes of democracy remain clear. In an area where the validity of elections is frequently scrutinized, a well-funded office acts as a bulwark against skepticism. And elected leaders often face the temptation to prioritize more visible projects like infrastructure, or public safety. However, the authority to fund those very projects is derived from the consent of the governed, expressed through the ballot. Now, and I'll just say this, I've talked to Director Bourne, we've had several conversations on this subject. I went to Detroit last year for a business trip. And in Detroit, the elections office had billboard signs be all over the city, reminding citizens when and where to vote. We don't have that here. It's as if we are only concerned, my perception is my reality, we're only concerned about one section of the city. So when I went to the elections and registration board meeting, I said, look, South Columbus, SoCo, there are so many places that you could have early voting sites. And I was met with a lot of rejection. That's a problem. Because if you already have a precinct, that's an early voting site. Case closed. It's too easy, it's too simple. It's just not rocket science. You have citizens on Casita Road that have to drive I don't know how many miles it is, 4 miles, Lumpkin Road. So we moved one to Northside Rec. But why did we consider that? So I told the board that I'm gonna go solicit funds for you. I mean, that's the only thing I know to do. They need help. When you guys are when you're in budget hearing in a few hours, this comes up, I think it's on page 132 of the budget. Look at that and think about it. Even though you're giving them 1.6, they need more. Because when voting goes, democracy goes. Think about that for a minute now. 2 seconds. Thank you all for your service, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Provost. All right, I think next was Dr. Natalie Nicole. Welcome back, ma'am.
Thank you, 31901. So where I left off, I was talking about the discrepancy in representations for the Arts Department. And the annual proclamations that continue to be presented, despite ongoing concerns that the organization's public representation does not reflect the diversity of the community it claims to serve. There were 2 African-American representatives out of about almost 20 people standing up here receiving a proclamation maybe 2 meetings ago. Yet, much of the organization's public-facing imagery overwhelmingly reflects white citizens rather than the full diversity of Columbus. When accomplishments representing more than 20 years of African-American artistic contributions were submitted for recognition, they were declined. I'm not sure what happened to your previous secretary, but that's who I was in correspondence with. And she suggested that names were not allowed to be used on the proclamations. So I sent her examples because I've written multiple proclamations where names were present. And we sat in these council meetings where multiple names, is so-and-so's day, has been presented since she told me that. Additionally, I was also told that my District 7 representation would not support proclamations I submitted, so that's why they were not being approved. This week, I was reminded on Toya Tucker's page of the numerous proclamations that I have submitted, specifically for Carver High School Girls Basketball Championships. Proclamations that I still have on my desktop because I submitted multiple. They've won many times. When these concerns and screenshots were shared, of course, she's since resigned, so there was no response. Regardless of how leadership feels about citizens, professionalism and emotional intelligence should still require equal acknowledgement of excellence within this community. And finally, I just would like to highlight, there is longstanding operational concerns that council continues to ignore. And I hold council responsible. Council makes the votes, council approves the budgets, but we're constantly pointing fingers to other people, and I'm really confused. I see things like don't get bamboozled when the only votes come from city council. You all approve overspending, you just approved overspending $2 million worth, $4 million worth last week, or whenever our last meeting was. So I can't even finish, but please read the
Thank you,
rest
ma'am.
of it.
Thank you. All right. And I think that's all that Did you have one? Is there anybody else that we left off? All right, well, that'll do it then. We do have a request to go into executive session.
That's for litigation, potential litigation, and personnel.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion second to go into executive session. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're in executive session. We'll have to ask y'all to clear the council chambers. All right, we are back in regular session. We were in executive session to discuss litigation, potential litigation, and personnel, and no votes were taken. We'll now adjourn this meeting, and we'll move right into the budget meeting with Council Chair, our Budget Chair, Gary Allen. So I'll entertain a motion, second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, any opposed? All right, we're adjourned.